The sun shone brightly over the Hunter Association Stadium, casting a warm glow on the impressive structure. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement as cameras flashed and a voice called out, "Graduate Kim Hanel, please come up to the stage." The crowd's anticipation was palpable. A young man in a sharp suit stepped forward confidently. He had worked tirelessly to complete the Hunter's Den training course. The official on stage, a distinguished figure with silver hair, acknowledged his efforts and presented him with an E-rank Hunter license. Kim Hanel saluted, a sense of accomplishment washing over him. Finally, I'm becoming an official Hunter, he thought, feeling the weight of his dedication. I really poured my soul into this. Because he had awakened at the lowest rank, Kim Hanel had to study twice as much as everyone else to overcome his weaknesses. The pages of his well-worn books lay open, filled with notes and diagrams. As a result, his knowledge of dungeons and monsters became second to none. Images of fierce creatures with glowing eyes and sharp tusks filled his mind, a testament to his relentless dedication. The protagonist reflected, I guess hard work really does pay off. A sense of pride filled him as he thought, I'm finally becoming a real hunter. However, the distinguished figure with silver hair interrupted his thoughts, saying, Graduate, I believe you are mistaken. Confused, he responded, Excuse me? The official continued, An E-rank hunter is a hunter in name only. The young man stood frozen, his eyes wide with disbelief as the words echoed in his mind. The silver-haired official continued, his expression stern. No matter how much you study strategy and tactics with E-rank stats, you won't be able to take down even a single monster. The atmosphere shifted, a mysterious energy swirling around as the words monsters are blocked by monsters appeared, glowing with an ethereal light. Alone, the protagonist clenched his fists, frustration etched on his face. Fuck! He muttered under his breath, determination burning in his eyes. 7 years ago, on that fateful day, he decided to give up on being a hunter. The memory of that moment lingered as he read the message. Thank you for playing monsters block monsters until now. The reality of his situation hit hard, as he realized he was on the verge of losing his job once again. Sitting in his dimly lit room, the young man in a hoodie sighed deeply, frustration evident in his voice. This is insane. If this fails too, how am I supposed to make a living? He exclaimed, running a hand through his hair. The promise of rewriting the history of the defense game genre seemed distant now. How can it just go under like this? He wondered, staring at the screen that announced the termination of the service for MBM as of 11 o'clock p.m. The new career he had found after giving up on being a hunter was slipping away. The game, Monsters Block Monsters, had been his refuge. The vibrant start screen displayed a castle surrounded by various creatures, a world he had immersed himself in. Within the game, countless monsters were implemented, each with unique abilities. The player, tasked with recruiting these creatures, used them strategically to block other monsters in this defense game. It was a world of strategy and imagination, a place where he had found purpose after leaving his hunter dreams behind. At first glance, the game appeared to be a simple defense setup, with a castle at its center surrounded by a path where various creatures roamed. However, the complexity lay in the numerous variables to consider, such as monster affinities, combinations, placement, and attack timing. Upgrading the recruited monsters was essential, yet the success rate was atrocious, making progress difficult. The even bigger issue was looming. No matter how well a monster was raised, if it died once, it reset, embodying the harsh nature of a roguelike defense game. The screen flashed a defeat message, signaling the end of all stages. The protagonist reflected on the game's reputation, understanding why it was often labeled a trash game. The balance was indeed garbage, adding to his frustration. The screen displayed a surprising outcome. A 3-star ogre lay defeated beneath a triumphant 1-star goblin, illustrating the unpredictable nature of the game. The young man stretched, a wry smile on his face as he muttered, The developer must be a total sadist. Despite the game's reputation for its insane difficulty, he couldn't help but feel a strange admiration for its complexity. He leaned back, reflecting on his role as a broadcaster of this challenging game. It was more than just a pastime. It was his livelihood, a testament to his status as a hardcore veteran. Lying back in his chair, he sighed deeply, contemplating his future. Even if I couldn't cut it as a hunter, I could make a living thanks to this game. What am I supposed to do now? The uncertainty weighed heavily on him, as he stared at the ceiling, lost in thought. The chat window buzzed with activity as viewers commented on the final day of the game. TICHLASTVTRAN noted the burnout, while BLOCKINGSHITWHSHIT questioned the choice to play such a game. TRSHMSDLKR casually asked if it was the final broadcast. The protagonist, sitting in his dimly lit room, greeted his audience with a smile. Yes, hello everyone, he said, trying to maintain his usual upbeat demeanor. A message from TICHLASTVTRAN popped up, asking what he planned to do next. As he pondered the question, TRSHMSLKR chimed in, joking about his hunter license ensuring he wouldn't starve. Another viewer, MONSTRBLOCKINHUNTR, inquired if he would return to being a hunter. The young man felt a bead of sweat form on his brow, the pressure of the decision weighing on him. He hesitated, admitting, "Well, it's true that I'm a hunter, but..." His voice trailed off as Alibaba teased him for being humble. Meanwhile, BLSHID questioned if he had earned enough as a hunter to stream games as a hobby. BLDISSTRONGST added that they had anticipated this moment since he started playing these games. The young man sat silently, contemplating his next move. The young man, with a contemplative expression, considered his options. "A hunter, I am considering it," he thought, though the reality of his situation weighed heavily on him. He knew he could never reveal to his audience that he was a failed E-rank hunter who couldn't even enter a dungeon. With a determined crack of his knuckles, he decided to push those thoughts aside. "Well, anyway," he muttered, trying to refocus his energy. Sitting up straight, he addressed his viewers with renewed enthusiasm. "Today is the last day of MBM, so I'm going to show you everything." His eyes gleamed with determination, ready to make the most of this final broadcast. He posed a question to his audience. Should we go for that challenge? The chat buzzed with excitement, as familiar names like THELASTVETERAN and TRASHGAMESTALKER encouraged him to take on the 100K mission. The young man knew that by that, he meant the main event of this game, and he was ready to dive in. The scene was set with a foreboding atmosphere as monstrous creatures emerged from a swirling gate, their wings casting shadows over a towering castle. The task was clear: protect the castle from the relentless waves of beasts pouring out. The young man, hands poised over his keyboard and mouse, declared with determination, "Okay, I've got it. I'm starting the challenge right now." His fingers danced across the keys, ready to face the oncoming threat. He revealed his daunting goal, the 700th wave known as the Uncharted Territory. "This will probably be my last wave," he thought, acknowledging the gravity of the challenge ahead. Addressing his audience, he reminded them, "You all know how much money I spent to get this far, right?" The chat responded with enthusiasm, THELASTVETERAN, joking about donations funding his journey, while MONSTERBLOCKINGHUNTER encouraged a grand finale for the live broadcast. The young man, with a determined look, acknowledged the daunting task ahead. Until now, no one had ever successfully challenged the 700th wave. He knew that if he succeeded this time, he would set a new record and earn an achievement. Yet, as he hovered over the start button, he couldn't help but wonder if it even mattered anymore. The familiar game screen displayed a castle, ready to be defended. His hand trembled slightly on the mouse, betraying his nerves. Still, he took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. With a burst of energy, he shouted, "Let's go!" His hand slammed down on the desk, signaling the start of the challenge with renewed vigor. The swirling blue vortex marked the beginning of the 700th wave, unleashing a torrent of monstrous creatures. Their fierce roars echoed as they emerged, ready to attack. A horde of beasts charged forward, their numbers overwhelming. Each creature, more terrifying than the last, surged with a relentless fury, determined to breach the defenses. The protagonist, eyes wide with focus, acknowledged the daunting task. Right from the start, "The numbers are no joke," he thought, his fingers poised over the keyboard. "Then, shall I start with some pokes?" he mused, strategizing his next move. Meanwhile, a goblin archer, eyes narrowed with concentration, drew back his bow. The arrow ignited with a fiery glow, ready to be unleashed upon the advancing enemies. The fiery arrow shot through the air, leaving a blazing trail as it soared towards its target. It struck with explosive force, scattering the monstrous creatures in its path, their snarls turning to cries of pain. The goblin archer, eyes wide with shock, realized the impending danger too late. His face twisted in fear as he let out a desperate scream. The screen flashed with a message. LV.100 Goblin Archer has been eliminated, marking the end of his brief resistance. The young man gritted his teeth, frustration evident on his face. That goblin archer was an expensive unit, he lamented, feeling the sting of the loss. Meanwhile, the monstrous horde continued its relentless advance, their fierce roars filling the air as they charged forward with terrifying speed. "Damn, if those guys swarm in all at once, it's dangerous," he thought, his mind racing to devise a strategy. Blood splattered as the creatures clashed, the situation growing more perilous by the second. "For now," he resolved, determined to hold the line. Summoning his resolve, he called forth the LV.130 Succubus Queen. Her presence was commanding, her power palpable. "With her, I'll clear the entrance first," he declared, confident in her ability to turn the tide of battle. The Succubus Queen, her eyes glowing with a fierce intensity, surveyed the battlefield. A bead of sweat trickled down her face as she sensed something amiss. Suddenly, a deafening roar filled the air. A massive Cerberus, its 3 heads snarling, charged towards her with terrifying speed. "What the?" she exclaimed, caught off guard by the beast's sudden appearance. Her mind raced. When did that Cerberus get all the way here? She wondered, realizing the urgency of the situation. With a swift decision, she resolved, I need to pull back and reorganize for now. Her form shimmered with energy as she prepared to retreat. The monstrous creature lunged, its jaws snapping dangerously close. The succubus queen, enveloped in a swirl of magic, narrowly evaded the attack, her determination unwavering as she planned her next move. A violent burst of energy erupted, marking the end of the succubus queen's reign. Her elimination was swift and brutal, leaving a void in the defense. Nearby, the one-eyed bullseye met a similar fate, its demise marked by a sharp, decisive strike. The battlefield was unforgiving, claiming even the strongest. The young man clenched his fists, frustration etched on his face. Shit. I know it's the 700th wave, but they're way too strong, he muttered, grappling with the overwhelming force of the enemy. As the chaos unfolded, the ogre tailor fell, its defeat another blow to the defenses. The Cerberus, eyes glowing with a menacing light, continued its relentless advance, undeterred by the losses around it. The young man sat in the dimly lit room, his expression a mix of disbelief and frustration. To think the units I raised with such care would be eliminated so easily. He mused, the weight of the situation pressing heavily on him. A fiery explosion erupted on the battlefield, the intensity of the blast underscoring the dire circumstances. At this rate, this wave is a failure, he admitted, the realization hitting him hard. His fingers moved swiftly over the keyboard, desperation in his actions. There are no more units or buildings left to block the wave, he thought, his mind racing for a solution. Now only the castle remains, he concluded, knowing the final stand was imminent. The castle stood alone, its silhouette stark against the fading light. It was the last bastion of hope, a solitary fortress amidst the encroaching darkness. The Cerberus, with its three heads roaring in unison, charged forward, its eyes blazing with a fierce light. The ground trembled under its massive paws, and the air crackled with energy. Amidst the chaos, a thought echoed. Is it going to end like this? The monstrous horde surrounded the castle, their red eyes glowing ominously in the dim light. Each creature, more terrifying than the last, closed in, their growls reverberating through the air. The castle stood as the last line of defense, its walls reflecting the fiery glow of the approaching threat. Inside the castle, a figure clad in golden armor sat upon a throne, bathed in a radiant light. The armored figure exuded an aura of calm authority, while a shadowy figure stood silently beside them, watching the unfolding events with a stoic gaze. A notification appeared, declaring, "You have challenged the 700th wave for the first time." The young man, his face a mix of surprise and determination, stared at the message. He uttered, the weight of the challenge settling in as he prepared for the battle ahead. The armored figure, bathed in radiant light, sat with a calm demeanor, their presence commanding and serene. With eyes closed, the figure's expression was one of deep contemplation, as if gathering strength from within. Suddenly, their eyes snapped open, glowing with an intense red light, a powerful aura emanating from them. The air around seemed to shimmer as the words, "The Sovereign Awakens," appeared, marking a pivotal moment. The shadowy figure beside them handed over a gleaming sword, its blade catching the light. The armored figure rose, determination evident in their every movement, ready to face the encroaching darkness. The armored figure stepped forward, the floorboards creaking under the weight of their presence. Bathed in a brilliant glow, the figure's long hair flowed like a silver river, and the sword in their hand gleamed with a fierce light. A young man, his eyes wide with disbelief, whispered, "The Sovereign awakened?" His mind raced, struggling to comprehend the unfolding events. Across the hall, monstrous creatures charged, their snarls echoing through the grand chamber. The Sovereign stood resolute, ready to meet the oncoming threat. The armored figure, standing firm against the monstrous horde, reflected on countless defeats, each one a lesson in resilience. Yet, this moment felt different, unprecedented in its intensity. The golden-clad warrior, surrounded by a radiant aura, prepared to face the unimaginable. With eyes burning like embers, the figure questioned the reality unfolding before them. A mix of awe and disbelief etched across their face. As the ground shattered beneath the force of their power, the question lingered, echoing in the chaos. Is happening right now? The Sovereign, surrounded by a whirlwind of chaos, swung their sword with precision, cutting through the monstrous horde. Blood and shadows danced in the air, the battlefield a blur of motion and light. The young man watched in awe as the armored figure unleashed a devastating attack, obliterating the creatures in a single powerful strike. His thoughts raced. Holy shit, he's taking them all out in one hit. A blinding flash erupted, the force of the attack shaking the very ground. The young man, caught off guard, exclaimed, "Yua, wait a minute." As the dust settled, the Sovereign stood at the forefront, facing an endless wave of creatures. The young man realized the peril, thinking, "It's dangerous to jump in there." The sovereign, with a fierce determination, launched into the air, their golden armor gleaming under the intense light. The sword in their hand blazed with fiery energy, creating a trail of flames as they swung it with precision. The arc of fire expanded, a brilliant crescent slicing through the air, its heat palpable even from a distance. The armored figure's movements were fluid, each motion a testament to their power and grace. The fiery arc descended upon the monstrous horde, the impact explosive and devastating. Flames erupted, consuming everything in their path, the ground trembling under the force of the attack. The creatures, caught in the inferno, were thrown into chaos, their roars of defiance turning into cries of panic. The young man, witnessing the overwhelming power, could only watch in stunned silence, his mind racing to comprehend the sheer magnitude of the sovereign's might. The sovereign soared through the air, their golden armor gleaming brilliantly as they swung their sword with a fierce determination. The arc of energy that followed was a radiant crescent, cutting through the air with a fiery intensity. The warrior's eyes, sharp and focused, reflected the resolve and power within. Their expression was one of unwavering confidence, a testament to their mastery and strength. As the sword connected with the horde, a blinding explosion of light erupted, the force of the impact sending shockwaves through the chamber. The energy crackled and surged, obliterating everything in its path. The battlefield was a scene of chaos as the creatures fell, their defeat marked by the sovereign's overwhelming might. Notifications flashed, declaring the elimination of the orc warrior and the lizardman hero, their forms vanishing amidst the destruction. The battlefield was a whirlwind of destruction as the sovereign's attack tore through the ranks of enemies. Notifications flashed, declaring the elimination of the viper, Saikin warrior, and salamander, their forms disintegrating in the chaos. A young woman with flowing purple hair charged forward, her golden armor glinting in the light. Her eyes were fierce, focused on the path ahead as she moved with incredible speed and agility. A sharp, intense sound cut through the air, the energy of the attack resonating with a powerful force. More notifications appeared, marking the defeat of the merfolk hero, juvenile drake, cyclops warrior, and minotaur. The scene was a blur of motion and light, the sovereign's relentless assault leaving nothing but devastation in its wake. The young man, still in awe, could only think, "This is unbelievable, what did I just see?" The young woman with flowing purple hair exhaled deeply, her breath visible in the cool air. Her golden armor shimmered as she planted her foot firmly on the ground, the sound resonating with authority. She extended her hand towards a swirling vortex of energy, the light from the portal casting a radiant glow around her. Her cape billowed dramatically, caught in the powerful currents of magic. Gripping her weapon tightly, she prepared for the next wave, her mind focused on the task ahead. The thought echoed in her mind, all those monsters. With a determined expression, she stood amidst a cascade of light, her presence commanding and fierce. The energy around her surged, illuminating the battlefield with a brilliant intensity. The battlefield was a spectacle of light and chaos, with notifications flashing rapidly. The mad drake and multiple skeleton warriors were eliminated, their forms dissolving into the ether. The cyclops, too, met its end, vanishing amidst the destruction. A thought echoed in the air, filled with disbelief and awe. The sovereign took them all out alone? The young woman with flowing purple hair stood resolute, her back turned as she surveyed the aftermath. A congratulatory message appeared, acknowledging the victory achieved through sheer power and determination. The scene was one of devastation, with the young woman standing amidst the fallen creatures. Her presence was commanding, the golden armor glinting in the dim light as she prepared to move forward, leaving the chaos behind. The screen flashed with a triumphant message. "You have cleared the 700th wave." A young man with dark hair sat at his computer, his expression a mix of disbelief and awe. He leaned forward, excitement bubbling over as he exclaimed, "Guys, did you see the sovereign?" His voice was filled with astonishment. "I thought he was just background decoration because he was always asleep, but he's a total cheat character." Turning back to his screen, he noticed something amiss. "Guys?" he called out, concern creeping into his voice. "Did the stream crash? Why won't the mouse move?" His fingers hovered uncertainly over the keyboard. Suddenly, a message appeared from Viewer1, thanking him. The young man blinked in surprise. The stream didn't crash, he realized. But this person isn't a bot. His eyes widened as he continued. "It's the first time in 5 years I've seen Viewer1 speak." A message appeared on the screen. "Viewer1, thanks to you, our liege has awakened from his long slumber." The young man stared at it, confused. Question mark. Another message followed. "We are now able to make a new start. Along with you." He scratched his head, responding awkwardly. "Yes." His thoughts raced. This person is saying nothing but nonsensical things. The screen displayed, "We look forward to your continued leadership." In a virtual landscape, a figure in a cloak bowed deeply to a woman in armor, acknowledging her presence. Suddenly, the chat updated. "Viewer1 has left." Other viewers expressed confusion. "Wait, what?" Did you clear it? What happened? The young man pondered. What? No one else saw it except that person. The young man in the blue hoodie sighed deeply, lamenting his misfortune. My luck is just terrible, he muttered, a hint of resignation in his voice. Despite the setback, he resolved to continue, mentioning, anyway, the final broadcast. His eyes widened in surprise, a single word escaping his lips. Suddenly, a swirling vortex of blue energy erupted from his screen, engulfing the room in a dazzling display of light. The force of the energy seemed to pull him in, his hands instinctively reaching out towards the source. The young man was caught in the whirlwind, his expression a mix of shock and awe as the energy enveloped him completely, leaving him suspended in its mesmerizing glow. The young man in the blue hoodie stumbled back, his eyes wide with shock as he exclaimed, "What is this all of a sudden?" His gaze fixed on the screen, the vibrant blue light reflecting in his eyes as he whispered, "This is—" The room was filled with a dazzling glow as a message appeared before him, declaring, "You have acquired a new skill." He stared in disbelief, murmuring, "A new skill?" Realization dawned on his face, beads of sweat forming on his brow as he thought. That means, reawakening, a stern man in a suit declared. An E-rank cannot operate as an official hunter. His expression was firm, leaving no room for argument. Nearby, a bespectacled man in a lab coat adjusted his glasses thoughtfully. An E-rank in a dungeon. I wouldn't recommend it, he advised, glancing at the papers in his hand. Well, there are those who awaken additional skills later on. He continued, it's rare, but in those cases, their rank might increase. His voice carried a hint of hope as he added, yes, what we call a reawakening. Meanwhile, the young man in the blue hoodie reflected on his situation. I'm not sure why this is happening all of a sudden, he thought, a small smile forming. But to me, who has been ignored my whole life. His heart swelled with a newfound sense of possibility. The young man in the blue hoodie leaned over his desk, a determined look on his face as he read the message. A new opportunity has arrived. His heart raced with anticipation, the words echoing in his mind. He reached for the microphone, his fingers brushing against it as he prepared to address his audience. Everyone, with today's stream as my last. He began, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. His eyes gleamed with newfound resolve, a confident smile spreading across his face. I'll be returning as a hunter, he declared, the promise of a new beginning lighting up his features. The sun shone brightly over the apartment building, casting a warm glow on the brick facade. The sky was a brilliant blue, dotted with fluffy clouds, as if reflecting the young man's newfound hope. Inside, his lips parted slightly, a soft sigh escaping as he absorbed the reality of his situation. Sitting on the edge of his bed, the MC contemplated his next steps. Man, I did manage to reawaken, but... He mused, the room still illuminated by the soft blue light of the screen. The status window hovered before him, displaying his details. Name, Kim Hanul, age, 28, gender, male. His stats were modest with a new skill level 1 regeneration listed. Despite the uncertainty, a sense of determination filled him as he considered the possibilities ahead. The MC looked at the screen, confusion etched on his face. None of my stats changed? He wondered aloud, disappointment creeping into his voice. I was expecting something from a reawakening, but this is just... His gaze shifted, catching a glimmer of light. Question mark, he murmured, curiosity piqued by the sudden notification. The system window appeared before him, asking, would you like to check the new skill information? The options to accept or decline hovered invitingly. Sitting on his bed, he stared at the message, pondering his next move. Information about new skills? He repeated, the possibilities swirling in his mind as he considered the choice before him. The MC grinned widely, his eyes sparkling with excitement. All right, he exclaimed, dismissing his earlier disappointment. Who gives a damn if my stats didn't go up? His confidence surged as he continued. If a high-ranking skill pops up, stats won't even matter. With determination, he reached out and tapped the accept button on the screen, his finger glowing with a faint blue light as it made contact. A new window appeared, displaying the words new skills with two intriguing options. Deal with the sovereign and conversation with the sovereign. He stared at the screen, confusion mingling with curiosity. Question mark, he muttered, trying to make sense of the unexpected skills. Deal and conversation with the sovereign? The MC stared at the screen, his finger hovering over the options. I've never seen skills like these before, he thought, intrigued by the possibilities. Well, I'll find out once I activate them. He decided to start with the one already active, deal with the sovereign. With a determined tap, he activated the skill. The screen shimmered, displaying the message, activating deal with the sovereign. Suddenly, a red notification flashed before him, insufficient gold. Skill cannot be activated due to a lack of gold. Confusion spread across his face, his eyes wide with disbelief. He murmured, trying to comprehend the unexpected obstacle. Frustration boiled over as the MC sprawled across his bed, exclaiming, "Fuck it. I got my hopes up for nothing," he lamented. "I finally got new skills and I can't even use them." His eyes narrowed in thought, realizing, it's not like I can ask anyone about this. A glimmer of hope sparked as he considered. Wait, if it's that person. Determination returned as he gripped the armrest of his chair, thinking, they might know something. The screen displayed a message from viewer 1, expressing gratitude to "What kind of trash game is this?" The MC sat at his desk, illuminated by the glow of his monitors. He recalled the strange sense of anomaly he had felt earlier, pondering its significance. With a decisive click, he initiated a live stream, hoping for answers. "Please, come in," he thought, inviting his audience to join him. As the stream began, a notification appeared. Viewer 1 has joined the stream. The familiar greeting from viewer 1, "Good morning, what kind of trash game is this?" brought a sense of relief. He's here, the young man thought, feeling a surge of anticipation. The MC felt a sense of anticipation as he thought. It's like he was waiting to join. A small smile played on his lips as he greeted, "Yes, hello, viewer 1. He quickly locked the stream, ensuring privacy. "I've locked the stream for a moment. There was something I wanted to ask you, viewer 1, he said, leaning forward with a serious expression. The response came promptly, "Yes, feel free to speak. What kind of trash game is this?" His mind raced as he considered the connection. My skills appeared right after talking to this person. His eyes narrowed in concentration, piecing together the puzzle. Which means, he thought as a message from viewer 1 appeared, "We look forward to your continued leadership." Below, 2 figures stood in a misty landscape, one bowing respectfully to the other. The swirling darkness seemed to whisper secrets as the young man pondered. This person might be related to my reawakening. Sitting at his desk, the black-haired youth clasped his hands, a bead of sweat trickling down his face. "This might sound strange," he began, "but I had a sudden reawakening yesterday." His eyes narrowed with intensity as he asked, "Viewer 1, do you know anything about reawakening?" The response was immediate and affirmative. "Yes, I do." His eyes widened in realization, a spark of hope igniting within them. "I knew it. He does know something." A figure stood amidst a storm of energy, their form glowing with an otherworldly light. The words echoed in the young man's mind. "I've heard that awakening is something beyond human control." He pondered the implications. If that's the case, could he be someone related to the thrones? His thoughts drifted to the mysterious figure seated on a grand throne, shrouded in shadows. And if he's the one who helped me reawaken? The question lingered. But why me? The MC rested his head in his hand, feeling a mix of relief and confusion. "I'm relieved that you know, but I'm also quite confused," he admitted, trying to piece together the puzzle. Staring at his monitors, he questioned aloud, "Why did this happen?" His hands gestured in frustration as he continued, "No matter how much I think about it, I can't find a reason for you to do me such a favor." The thought lingered in the air, that is. As the young man's eyes widened, reflecting the cosmic glow of a mysterious figure cloaked in shadows, the revelation unfolded before him. "Because the sovereign has chosen you." A celestial hand reached out, cradling him in its ethereal grasp. "Hanul, it is thanks to you that my lord has awakened." The young man, Hanul, felt a bead of sweat trickle down his face as he whispered, "Awakened thanks to me? Could it be from that time?" His mind flashed back to a vision of a warrior, a figure of strength and grace, standing resolute amidst swirling mists, their presence both commanding and enigmatic. The message from viewer 1 resonated in Hanul's mind. "Thanks to you, my lord has awakened from his long slumber." His eyes, sharp and focused, reflected the weight of this revelation. Is all of this? He wondered, trying to connect the dots. The room around him seemed to pulse with energy, a blue aura enveloping him as he questioned, related to the game. The intensity of the moment caused him to. In the midst of this confusion, a cloaked figure holding a lantern appeared against a backdrop of swirling stars. The figure's presence was both mysterious and reassuring, as if whispering, "You may be confused right now, but you will come to understand in due time." The cloaked figure, shrouded in mystery, spoke with a voice that resonated through the void. "As for the skills you were granted, for now, please just think of them as a token of my lord's gratitude." Hanul, the MC, listened intently, a bead of sweat on his brow. "I understand for now. In that case, how do I use these skills? It seems like there are certain conditions." The lantern glowed with a golden light, symbols swirling around it. "Conditions?" The voice continued. "Audience with the Lord is a skill that still needs some time." Hanul's expression turned to one of frustration. "Then why won't the other skill activate?" he questioned, his voice tinged with urgency. "It says I can't use it because I don't have enough gold." The cosmic expanse shimmered with a question mark, hanging in the void like a riddle waiting to be solved. Hanul, seated at his desk, stared at his monitors, perplexed. A question mark? He muttered, trying to make sense of the enigmatic symbol. Suddenly, a hand emerged, grasping a book that glowed with a golden light, its pages turning with a soft rustle. The cloaked figure, bathed in a radiant aura, held the book aloft, its brilliance illuminating the darkness. The air was filled with a sense of anticipation, as if the answers Hanel sought were just within reach. The cloaked figure, bathed in a golden glow, acknowledged the situation with a hint of regret. It seems there was an oversight, the voice admitted, resonating through the shimmering air. Hanel, the young man with dark hair, absorbed this revelation with a mix of surprise and curiosity. An oversight? He echoed, his mind racing to comprehend the implications. The mysterious figure raised a hand, fingers poised with intent, as a promise was made. 0.50 gold will be deposited shortly, the voice assured, the air around them sparkling with anticipation. As the figure began to fade into a swirling vortex of colors, the voice offered guidance. You will be able to use the skill once you have the gold. You will learn more as you use it yourself. The cloaked presence vanished into the cosmic expanse, leaving Hanel with a sense of purpose and the promise of discovery. The cloaked figure, surrounded by a vibrant aura, expressed anticipation. Well then, I look forward to working with you, the voice echoed, leaving a lingering sense of partnership. As the radiant light intensified, the figure vanished, leaving behind a trail of shimmering colors. The message was clear. Viewer 1 has left the stream. Hanel, the MC, pinched his cheek, questioning the reality of the situation. This isn't a dream, right? He murmured, trying to ground himself in the moment. Sitting back in his chair, he pondered the implications. This confirms that person is indeed involved in my reawakening, he thought, considering the mysterious Lord. Does that mean the person he calls Lord is a throne? Despite his efforts, he admitted to himself, I have no idea what's going on. The MC, Hanel, reacted with surprise as a soft chime echoed in the room. Question mark, he uttered, his eyes widening in curiosity. A message appeared before him, declaring, 50 gold has been deposited. The notification continued, gold requirement met. Deal with the sovereign is now active. His eyes sparkled with a vibrant blue light, reflecting the information that had just been revealed. A bead of sweat formed on his brow, hinting at the intensity of the moment. Hanel turned his attention to a list displayed on the screen, detailing various monsters available for trade. His gold balance now read 50, just enough to consider acquiring a goblin slave. The options stretched before him, each with its own price, inviting him to make a choice. The list of monsters available for trade glowed on the screen, with Hanel's gold balance prominently displayed at 50. The options were varied, from a goblin slave priced at 50 gold to more formidable creatures like the goblin fighter and goblin archer, each demanding a higher price. The MC stared at the skill window, beads of sweat on his brow. This skill window, he thought, recognizing its similarity to the higher window in Fightmon. Images of goblins, wolves, and orcs flashed before him, their forms slightly different yet reminiscent of the game. It was almost identical to what he had seen in the virtual world, sparking a sense of familiarity. Reflecting on his gaming experience, he recalled how monsters were summoned to serve as troops. In the game, you would summon the monsters you hired here to your castle and use them as your troops. He mused, a realization dawning on him. Then can I summon them in reality, just like in the game? The possibility filled him with a mix of excitement and anticipation. The MC, Hanel, considered his options. If so, instead of me, since I lack combat power, he thought, a determined look crossing his face. I'll have a summon to fight for me. His eyes scanned the list, realizing, the only one I can hire with the 50 gold I have now is a goblin slave. The image of the creature appeared before him, its form glowing on the screen. Hanel's eyes widened in shock. Wait, this is? He exclaimed, the reality of his situation hitting him with full force. His gaze shifted to a new figure, the Sovereign of Phantasm, surrounded by a dazzling aura. The message read, 99,999,999,999 gold required. Finity, 100. He pondered. If it's the Sovereign, is that the character that wiped out all those monsters back then? Hanel, the MC, leaned over his desk, eyes fixed on the screen. I'd love to hire him if I could, but, he muttered, glancing at the staggering price and affinity required for the Sovereign of Phantasm. Looking at this insane price and affinity, it's out of the question. His lips tightened as he whispered, but, he pondered deeply, if this really works like MBM and summons hired monsters, how am I supposed to earn the gold needed for this? His mind raced with possibilities as he sat back in his chair, contemplating the challenge ahead. Let's think, he resolved, recalling his gaming experience. In the game, he remembered, there were 2 ways to obtain gold in the MBM game. The memory of achieving a clear rank S and earning 150 gold flashed vividly in his mind, sparking a glimmer of hope. The young man recalled the methods from the game, clearing dungeons or hunting monsters to sell their loot for gold. The image of a bloodied wolf and a pile of gold coins flashed vividly in his mind. If the same principles applied to reality, he realized, then to earn gold he would have to hunt real monsters. The thought weighed heavily on him as he considered the implications. Before him loomed a terrifying vision of monstrous creatures, their forms towering and menacing. He stood small and resolute, contemplating the daunting task ahead. The problem, he acknowledged, was his current lack of strength. With his stats, even capturing the lowest grade monster seemed an insurmountable challenge. In that case, he pondered. A new plan began to form in his mind. The image of the goblin slave materialized before Hanul, its form glowing with an eerie light. This creature, though not impressive, was his only hope. With a determined finger, he selected the option, the words goblin slave. 50 foot, confirming his choice. He hesitated for a moment, wondering if this decision would truly be helpful. As the transaction completed, a message appeared, announcing that he had successfully hired the goblin slave. The text reassured him that hired monsters could be resummoned without additional gold consumption. A swirling vortex of energy began to form, signaling the summoning process. The room filled with a brilliant blue light as the summoning intensified. Hanul shielded his eyes, astonished by the spectacle. A monster is actually being summoned? He thought, the reality of his actions dawning on him as the energy swirled around him. The young man shielded his eyes from the intense blue light swirling around him. He was taken aback by the sheer power emanating from the summoning. But, he thought, questioning the unexpected strength. His eyes widened in disbelief, the realization hitting him hard. Since when did a goblin slave give off such a powerful aura? He wondered, sweat forming on his brow. His gaze focused intently, trying to comprehend the situation. This guy is? He exclaimed internally, the revelation leaving him stunned. Outside, the sun shone brightly over a towering skyscraper, its glass windows reflecting the clear sky. Inside, fingers danced swiftly over a keyboard. Hunter Kim Hanul. A voice spoke, the name echoing with significance as the keys clacked rhythmically. The screen displayed the profile of Kim Hanul, a 28-year-old male with the rank of E. His exclusive skill, Regeneration Level 1, was highlighted, yet his hunter activity history remained at 0. Seated across from a woman at a desk, he listened as she confirmed his status. You're an E-rank hunter and you'll be operating solo, correct? She asked, her fingers poised over the keyboard. He nodded. Yes, please register me as a solo player. The woman acknowledged his request. Understood. You said this is your first request. He hesitated briefly before responding. Yes. She continued. All right, then there are currently 4 available. The young man considered her offer, his expression thoughtful. Would you like to take a look at the list? She inquired. He crossed his arms, pondering. Let's see. Which of these is the least conspicuous? The young man with dark hair studied the options before him, his eyes narrowing in concentration. This one? He thought, considering his choice carefully. With a decisive nod, he pointed at the screen, declaring, I'll go with this. The woman across from him, seated at her desk, confirmed. This request? Adjusting her glasses, she warned. That area is a place where troop support is impossible in an emergency. Are you sure you'll be okay? He responded with a confident smile. Yes. As he chuckled softly, a thought crossed her mind. Good grief, an E-rank hunter going hunting solo. She sighed. Understood. The woman with glasses confirmed. Your registration for this is complete. I will send the information required for the request via text. She continued. Finally, please place your thumbprint on the machine in front of you for identity verification. The young man complied, responding with a simple, yes. As he placed his thumb on the device, she added, You can head out as soon as the verification is finished. Do you have any additional questions? He shook his head. No, I don't. With a nod, she concluded. All right then, I'll see you after the request is finished. The young man's sneakers squeaked softly against the floor as he moved, a sense of anticipation building within him. Finally, my first hunter activity, he thought, the words echoing in his mind with a mix of excitement and determination. Standing tall, the black-haired youth glanced around the bustling office. I'm nervous, but also excited, he admitted to himself, feeling the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Now then, shall I go test out my new skill? He pondered, a confident smile playing on his lips. Outside, the sky stretched endlessly, a brilliant blue canvas dotted with fluffy white clouds. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the landscape, as if encouraging him on his new journey. The scene shifted to a picturesque village nestled among lush greenery. The request details appeared, outlining his mission. Exterminate goblins settled on the mountain behind the village. It was an E-rank task, requested by a village resident, and the young man felt a surge of resolve as he prepared to embark on his first solo adventure. The young man with dark hair walked along the path, the sun casting a warm glow on his face. I think I'm almost there, he mused, his eyes scanning the horizon. As he continued, a voice called out, "My hunter!" He turned his head slightly, acknowledging the greeting with a subtle nod. Ahead, an older man approached, waving enthusiastically. "Welcome, hunter," the man exclaimed, his voice filled with gratitude. The two met, and the older man clasped the young hunter's hands warmly, a gesture of trust and hope for the task ahead. The older man bowed slightly, expressing his gratitude. "Thank you so much for coming to such a humble place." The young hunter, with a reassuring smile, replied, "Not at all, sir. It's my job." He continued, "You've been very distressed because of the goblins, right?" The older man sighed heavily. "Don't even get me started. Because of those bastards, we haven't been able to set foot in the mountains for a week." The black-haired youth pondered. "I guess so. There's no reason for anyone to come all the way to the countryside to catch goblins. There's nothing to gain compared to the time spent." Concern etched on his face. The older man asked, "But, will you be okay on your own? I heard those goblins are tougher than they look." The young hunter nodded, determination shining in his eyes. The older man's face was etched with worry as he expressed his concern. "I'm worried that our benefactor might get hurt." The young hunter gently clasped the village head's hands, offering reassurance. "Mr. Village Head," he began, his voice steady and calm. With a confident smile, the black-haired youth promised, "I promise you, nothing will happen to the village or to me." His words were filled with determination, a bright sky reflecting his resolve. The village head, overwhelmed with gratitude, bowed his head slightly, murmuring, "Thank you so much." The village head, overwhelmed with gratitude, continued to express his thanks, his voice filled with sincerity. The young hunter nodded, accepting the appreciation with a humble smile. After calming the older man, who was still expressing his gratitude, the black-haired youth set off towards the forest. His steps were steady as he moved deeper into the woods where the goblins were rumored to dwell. As he ventured further, he paused, surveying the area. "I think it's around here," he murmured to himself, noting the stillness of the surroundings. "Nothing special yet," he added, his eyes scanning the dense foliage. A bead of sweat formed on his brow as he remained alert, his senses heightened, ready for any sign of movement in the quiet forest. Water cascaded into a wooden bowl, held by a green-skinned hand, the liquid sparkling in the sunlight. The goblin brought the bowl to its lips, drinking deeply, savoring the refreshing water. The black-haired youth, observing from a distance, was taken aback. He muttered, confusion evident on his face. Before him, a group of goblins gathered, drinking from the spring with a casual air, reminiscent of middle-aged men enjoying a break. The young hunter's expression was a mix of disbelief and amusement. The goblins continued their leisurely break, seemingly unaware of the young hunter's presence. Their casual demeanor was unexpected, as they chatted and drank from the spring. The black-haired youth, observing from a distance, felt a sense of relief. "I can summon this guy without any worries," he thought, activating his inventory with a confident smile. Reaching into the glowing interface, he retrieved a shimmering orb. "Okay then, time to test this guy out," he murmured, anticipation building. With a swift motion, he launched the orb forward, shouting, "Go, goblin slave!" The orb shot through the air, leaving a trail of light as it sped towards its target. The orb soared through the air, catching the attention of the goblins. They paused, their chatter interrupted by the sudden appearance of the glowing sphere. As the orb landed softly on the ground, the goblins gathered around it, their curiosity piqued. The black-haired youth watched from a distance, his expression shifting to one of surprise. He muttered, unsure of what to expect next. The goblins continued to examine the orb, their confusion evident as they exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of the strange object before them. The goblins' expressions shifted from curiosity to aggression, their eyes narrowing as they bared their teeth, a low growl rumbling from their throats. The black-haired youth, startled by the unexpected reaction, felt a bead of sweat trickle down his face. What?" he exclaimed, his mind racing. "Is this not how I'm supposed to summon him?" As the goblins began to advance, he took a step back, panic setting in. "What kind of system is this?" he thought frantically. "This is bad. It's already too late to run." Determined, he steeled himself, glancing at the approaching goblins. "If it's come to this," he resolved, "I'll just have to try it on my own without the summon." The goblins charged forward, their claws extended and eyes filled with hostility. The black-haired youth braced himself, doubt flickering in his mind. "Can I do it?" he wondered, as the goblins closed in with a screech. "They're coming!" With a determined shout, he launched himself into action, his voice echoing through the forest. "You-wah!" The young man and the leading goblin leaped towards each other, their paths set to collide in a fierce confrontation. The black-haired youth's eyes widened as the goblin's claws came dangerously close, a sharp glint reflecting in his gaze. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light erupted, momentarily blinding both the young hunter and the goblins. The words, "Summoning Goblin Slave," appeared, signaling the activation of the orb's power. In an instant, the goblin was thrown back, a powerful force sending it hurtling through the air, while the young man stood firm, his resolve unshaken by the unexpected turn of events. The black-haired youth stood frozen, his eyes wide with shock as he processed the unexpected turn of events. Memories flooded back to him, recalling the time when he first started playing MBM. The first monster he obtained was a goblin slave, a humble beginning that held great potential. He remembered the joy of acquiring his first monster, pouring all the rare items he had into it, nurturing it with care and dedication. The image of a powerful, armored creature loomed in his mind, a testament to his efforts. With a sense of pride, he recalled how he had cleared over 100 waves with just this one monster, its glowing eyes a symbol of the strength he had cultivated. The memory fueled his determination, readying him for the challenges ahead. The air shimmered with energy as a formidable figure emerged, cloaked in shadows and exuding an aura of power. The goblin, now transformed, stood tall with a menacing grin, its eyes glowing with a fierce light. Adorned in a wind helm and raven leather armor, both of rank A, it wielded a club of Hercules with confidence. The raven cloak and boots completed its fearsome ensemble, each piece of equipment radiating strength. The black-haired youth watched in awe, realizing the full potential of his summon. A message appeared, explaining the perk that had been applied. It revealed that the inventory of the first hired monster had been retrieved, granting the goblin its impressive arsenal. The young man felt a surge of hope, understanding that this unexpected advantage could turn the tide in his favor. The air crackled with energy as the goblin's transformation reached its peak, a blinding light enveloping its form. Emerging from the brilliance, the goblin, now a formidable warrior, swung its mighty club with a fierce determination, the air around it swirling with power. The ground trembled as the goblin's foot landed with a forceful impact, flames and energy spiraling around its leg, amplifying its strength. A massive beam of light shot skyward, cutting through the forest canopy, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The protagonist watched in awe as the goblin's attack obliterated the path ahead, clearing the way for their advance. The transformed goblin, now a towering figure of power, descended with a mighty leap, its form wreathed in dark energy. Below, the ground was littered with the remains of its fallen foes, a testament to its newfound strength. One of the remaining goblins, eyes wide with terror, let out a panicked cry, its voice trembling as it witnessed the devastation. The air was pierced by a deafening screech as the formidable creature soared through the sky, its presence casting a shadow over the forest. In a desperate bid for survival, a lone goblin sprinted through the trees, its heart pounding as it fled from the overwhelming force that pursued it. The goblin, now a formidable warrior, soared through the air, its cloak billowing like dark wings. Energy crackled around its form, enhancing its already impressive presence. A notification appeared, declaring the activation of Raven's Wingbeat A. The goblin's boots shimmered with a radiant glow, and ethereal wings unfurled from its back, propelling it forward with incredible speed. With a burst of power, the goblin shot downward, a trail of light and energy marking its path. The air around it shimmered with intensity as it descended like a meteor, its eyes locked on the target below. The ground erupted in a shower of debris as the goblin landed with explosive force, the impact sending shockwaves through the forest. Nearby, a lone goblin fled in terror, its heart racing as it tried to escape the overwhelming power that had just been unleashed. The air crackled with tension as the goblin's eyes glowed with a fierce red light, its gaze locked onto the fleeing figure. With a swift motion, the goblin unleashed a whirlwind of energy, the force of its attack tearing through the landscape, scattering debris in all directions. Amidst the chaos, the armored goblin emerged, a confident smirk on its face as it watched its adversaries fall, their forms flung aside like ragdolls. The protagonist stood at the edge of the clearing, his eyes wide with disbelief as he surveyed the aftermath, the once formidable foes now lying defeated. "No way," he muttered, unable to comprehend the sheer power on display. The protagonist, his face a mix of shock and disbelief, whispered to himself, "Gono was that strong." Sweat trickled down his face as he tried to process the overwhelming power he had just witnessed. Nearby, the goblin's sharp profile was visible, its expression unreadable as it surveyed the scene with a calm demeanor. The armored goblin approached, its footsteps heavy and deliberate. The protagonist, still reeling from the encounter, stammered, "Gee, good job." The goblin responded with a series of guttural sounds, "Kiruk, Kiruk," as it continued its advance. Suddenly, the protagonist felt a tug on his sleeve. He turned, eyes widening in surprise. Question mark. The goblin stood before him, its hand gripping his shirt. "Wait, don't tell me," he began, his voice trailing off as realization dawned. The protagonist, still processing the events, looked at the goblin with a mix of confusion and amusement. "Are you asking for a pat on the back?" he questioned, his voice tinged with disbelief. The goblin responded with its usual guttural sounds, Kiruk, Kiruk, as it stood confidently before him. Suddenly, the scene shifted, and the goblin's eyes sparkled with an unexpected intensity. The protagonist found himself wondering, what the? Are all summoned monsters like this? He was taken aback by the goblin's expression, thinking, what's with that look in his eyes? A notification appeared, displaying a message. The protagonist stared at the screen, trying to make sense of the information. Question mark, he muttered what? Turning his gaze back to the display. Affection level? He questioned aloud, still trying to grasp the implications of the affinity score. The protagonist stood perplexed, staring at the glowing screen before him. Wait, this isn't some dating sim. Why the hell is there an affinity meter? He wondered aloud, glancing down at the goblin kneeling beside him, its eyes expectant. A notification appeared, its message clear. When affinity is maxed out, you can obtain a new skill. Your eyes are opened. The words lingered in his mind, sparking curiosity. His eyes widened, reflecting the message as he repeated, new skill. The concept intrigued him, the possibilities endless. With a newfound determination, he crouched down, embracing the goblin warmly. Who's good? Boy? Little? Gono. You're doing great, he praised, a playful tone in his voice. The goblin beamed, basking in the attention. If it gets me a skill, I'll praise him all day long, he thought, a smile playing on his lips. A notification appeared, announcing that Gono's affinity had increased by +10. The scene shifted to a serene forest, sunlight filtering through the leaves. Anyway, our MC thought, contemplating his next move. He stood amidst the fallen monsters, frustration evident as he mused. I'm killing these monsters, but they aren't dropping any loot. Is this not how I'm supposed to get gold? The goblin beside him, Gono, made its familiar sounds. Kiruk, Kiruk. The protagonist turned, curious? Gono, what is it? Our MC watched as Gono moved with purpose, kneeling beside a fallen goblin. The creature's hands glowed with a mysterious blue light, and he couldn't help but wonder, what's he doing? Gono's hands opened to reveal two sparkling blue crystals, their surfaces catching the sunlight. Kiruk, Kiruk, the goblin exclaimed, clearly proud of its find. The protagonist leaned closer, examining the crystals with curiosity. That came out of the goblin's corpse? He asked, puzzled by their appearance. It doesn't look like a normal rock. What is it? Gono gestured excitedly. Kiruk, Kiruk. The protagonist turned, trying to understand. In the back? He repeated, following the goblin's eager pointing. The swirling blue energy crackled with intensity, drawing our MC's attention. This is... he murmured, captivated by the sight. As he stepped closer, the realization dawned on him. It's a gate, he questioned, observing the vibrant portal. The goblin beside him, Gono, stood in awe, both of them dwarfed by the luminous spectacle. But it's way too small for a gate, he noted, puzzled by its size. Gono's hand opened, revealing the sparkling blue crystals once more, their surfaces shimmering in the light. With a swift motion, the goblin tossed one of the crystals towards the gate, its trajectory precise and deliberate. The swirling blue energy intensified, symbols glowing brightly as the portal reacted to the crystal's presence. A notification appeared, detailing the transaction. Selling 3 lowest-grade mana stones. The Lord's Castle of Illusions has deposited 30 gold. The protagonist, with a thoughtful expression, pondered the revelation. Question mark, he mused, realization dawning on him. Right, I get it now. Unlike in the game, he understood that monsters in reality dropped mana stones instead of loot. Images of various creatures flashed in his mind, each holding the precious stones. That's how I get gold. By selling those, he concluded, a newfound clarity guiding his actions. The protagonist patted Gono on the head, a smile on his face. All right, good job, Gono, he praised, as the goblin blushed with pride, responding with a cheerful Kiruk. A notification appeared, indicating that Gono's affinity had increased by 5. Our MC surveyed the scene, satisfied. Good, got the gold. Now let's collect the proof for the quest, he said, as they stood amidst the fallen goblins. Gono echoed with another Kiruk. First, the protagonist began, his gaze shifting to the forest ahead, determination in his eyes. The trees swayed gently, birds taking flight into the clear sky. The protagonist and Gono stood in the forest, the trees towering around them as a sudden, ominous symbol appeared in the sky. He looked up, startled, beads of sweat forming on his brow. What the? He exclaimed, his mind racing. Were there more monsters nearby? The forest path ahead seemed darker, shadows creeping in as the sound of rustling leaves echoed around them. Suddenly, the ground split open with a deafening crack, a blinding light erupting from the fissure, sending debris flying in all directions. The forest erupted with a cacophony of noise as trees splintered and fell, the protagonist and Gono bracing themselves against the onslaught. Sweat trickled down his face as he realized the magnitude of the threat. This isn't some damn goblin. It's something way bigger. He thought, his eyes scanning the shadows. His heart pounded in his chest, the anticipation of what was to come etched on his face. A massive silhouette loomed before them, its presence casting an ominous shadow over the pair, the air thick with tension. Our MC stared in disbelief at the massive creature before him. "Holy shit!" he exclaimed, his voice barely a whisper against the forest's ominous silence. The ogre, towering and menacing, clutched a massive club, its eyes glowing with a fierce intensity. Why the hell is an ogre here? He wondered, panic rising in his chest. He quickly assessed the situation, his mind racing. This thing only shows up in B-rank quests or higher, he thought, recalling the creature's formidable reputation. The rank B symbol hovered ominously beside the ogre, a stark reminder of the danger. What the hell is it doing in an E-rank quest? He questioned, confusion mingling with fear. Sweat trickled down his brow as he tried to make sense of the anomaly. Wait, he murmured, a sudden thought striking him. His eyes narrowed, focusing intently on the creature. The ogre's face twisted in a snarl, revealing deep gashes and scars that marred its skin. Question mark, he muttered, noticing the wounds. Deep gashes, and scars aimed right for its vitals. He observed, realization dawning on him. The creature had been in a battle, and it wasn't unscathed. The protagonist, his face tense with concentration, pondered the ogre's condition. Did it already come from another fight? He wondered, noting the creature's injuries. Despite its wounds, he knew the ogre's combat power remained formidable. But no matter how hurt it is, an ogre's combat power is still B rank or higher. A sudden notification appeared, its message clear and urgent. 3 minutes until Gono returns to the Lord's castle. The protagonist and Gono both reacted to the message, their expressions a mix of surprise and urgency. The countdown loomed over them, a reminder of the limited time they had. His mind raced as he realized Gono's summon time was almost up. Sweat dripped down his face as he considered his options. Damn it, should I run while I still can? He thought, the weight of the decision pressing heavily on him. The sound of footsteps echoed as the protagonist sprinted forward, determination in his stride. Ahead, Gono, the summoned creature, stood tall and imposing, his presence a stark contrast against the bright sky. Our MC gasped, "Gee, Gono?" as he realized the creature's formidable size and power. The ogre, with its massive frame and menacing club, faced Gono, its eyes filled with a fierce challenge. The tension between the two was palpable, each sizing the other up. Gono's expression was calm yet intense, while the protagonist, sweat trickling down his face, questioned, "You want me to trust you?" His voice carried a mix of disbelief and hope, as he weighed the odds of their survival against the ogre's might. Our MC steadied himself, determination etched on his face. Right, he thought, his gaze fixed on the ogre. For now, all I can do is trust Gono. The massive creature loomed ahead, its presence a daunting challenge. Please, win this, he silently urged, as a powerful energy surged around him. The skill, Raven's Wing Beat, activated with a burst of vibrant blue light, propelling him forward with incredible speed. The air crackled with energy as he shot towards the ogre, the force of his movement tearing through the ground beneath him. The ogre braced itself, its eyes narrowing in anticipation of the impending clash. With a roar, the ogre bared its fangs, its red eyes blazing with fury. The two forces collided, the impact sending shockwaves through the air. As the battle for survival reached its peak, the ogre, muscles rippling with power, swung its massive club with a fierce determination, the air around it crackling with the force of its attack. The protagonist, enveloped in a vibrant blue aura, surged forward with incredible speed, his form a blur as he closed the distance between them. With a swift, agile movement, he twisted in mid-air, the energy around him intensifying as he prepared to strike. The ogre, caught off guard, looked up, its red eyes wide with surprise. In a flash, the protagonist descended upon the creature, his attack precise and powerful, the impact sending a shockwave through the ground as the battle reached its climax. The protagonist, enveloped in a brilliant blue aura, surged forward with unstoppable momentum. His form blurred as he closed in on the ogre, the energy around him crackling with intensity. The ogre, its eyes wide with surprise, watched as the young warrior ascended into the sky, leaving a trail of vibrant blue light in his wake. The air shimmered with power as he prepared for his next move. With a swift, decisive motion, he descended, his body a streak of blue energy. The ogre braced itself, its muscles tensing as it prepared to counter the impending strike. The impact was explosive, the force of the collision sending shockwaves through the ground. RMC, his face set with determination, drove his attack home, the blue energy enveloping both him and the ogre in a dazzling display of power. The ground trembled as the protagonist's attack landed, a brilliant blue energy enveloping the scene. Dust and debris flew in all directions, the force of the impact creating a crater beneath the ogre's feet. The ogre, its muscles straining, raised its massive arms in a desperate attempt to shield itself from the onslaught. Its red eyes glared defiantly, teeth bared in a snarl of resistance. Sweat dripped down the creature's face, its expression a mix of fury and desperation as it struggled to withstand the relentless assault. The young warrior's determination was unwavering, his energy unyielding. Suddenly, a burst of red light erupted from the ogre's chest, a sign of its defenses faltering. The creature staggered, its strength waning under the relentless pressure of the attack. The ogre's massive fist clenched tightly, red energy crackling around it as it let out a deafening roar, its defiance echoing through the battlefield. The young warrior, his face set with fierce determination, charged forward, his blue aura blazing brightly. His eyes narrowed with focus. He prepared to unleash another powerful strike. With a burst of speed, he launched himself into the air, the blue energy trailing behind him like a comet. The ground shook as he descended, the impact creating a shockwave that rippled outward. The protagonist's eyes widened in surprise, a moment of realization dawning upon him as he witnessed the aftermath of his attack. RMC, his energy surging, dashed forward with incredible speed, the ground cracking beneath his feet as he propelled himself towards the ogre. The creature, caught off guard, was lifted off its feet, its massive form tumbling backward through the air. As the ogre crashed to the ground, the warrior descended upon it, his blue aura flaring with renewed intensity. The impact was thunderous, sending debris flying in all directions. With a confident smirk, the protagonist's eyes glowed with determination, his victory seemingly assured as the blue energy enveloped him. The protagonist, his eyes wide with surprise, stared at the scene before him, a bead of sweat trickling down his face. Below, the massive ogre lay defeated, the blue energy still crackling around its fallen form. A voice called out, "Go no!" as another figure rushed towards the battlefield, concern etched on their face. The MC, now standing beside a small green creature, smiled warmly. "You did it. Good work, buddy," he praised. As the creature responded with a cheerful, "Kiruk, Kiruk," a digital display appeared, counting down 5 seconds until Gono returns to the Lord's castle. The young warrior's hand glowed with a brilliant blue light, the energy swirling within his grasp. The small green creature, Gono, held the glowing orb aloft, its eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Kiruk," it exclaimed, as the countdown continued. 2 seconds remaining. The MC smiled warmly at Gono. "Thanks, Gono. See you next time," he said. As the creature responded with a cheerful, "Kiruk, Kiruk," the digital display announced, "The goblin slave is returning to the Lord's castle." As the blue light enveloped Gono, the protagonist knelt, watching the orb vanish. "Cool down until next summon. 24 hours, the display concluded. The young warrior, holding 2 glowing blue orbs, contemplated his next move. "All right, let's see what I can get for this," he mused, reflecting on the recent battle. Taking down an ogre, that was a hell of a haul. But how do I deal with the gate? His attention was drawn to a swirling blue portal nearby. Question mark, he uttered, curiosity piqued by the mysterious phenomenon. Standing before the portal, he realized its purpose. "I guess this window pops up automatically once I get a mana stone," he concluded, understanding the connection between his actions and the portal's appearance. The portal shimmered with energy, a pathway opening up, inviting him to step through and discover what lay beyond. The young warrior watched as the digital display updated, announcing the sale of 1 low-intermediate mana stone. The Lord's Castle of Illusions deposited 100 gold, bringing his current total to 130. A new message appeared, highlighting the first-time sale of a mana stone containing an ogre's soul. The system began calculating a bonus reward for this unique transaction. As the calculations concluded, additional rewards were processed, including an ogre soul shard and an enchanted weapon enhancement scroll. The MC looked up, curiosity piqued. "Additional settlement?" he wondered aloud. A notification chimed, revealing that the Lord's Castle had granted him 1 premium gacha ticket. He pondered the new opportunity, murmuring, "A gacha ticket." As he considered the possibilities it might bring, the premium gacha ticket shimmered in the air, a rare opportunity in the world of Mangacaps. It was the only way to obtain rare items, yet its infamously low drop rates frustrated many players. Suddenly, a burst of blue energy crackled around him, the air charged with anticipation. RMC, holding the ticket, watched as a treasure chest materialized before him, swirling with vibrant colors. "So this is that notorious ticket?" he mused, intrigued by its potential. As he lifted the chest, he pondered aloud, "Even if I pull something rare, everything from the system can only be used by monsters, right?" A notification appeared, clarifying that items obtained through gacha could also be equipped by the user. He reacted, surprised by this unexpected revelation. The young warrior held the shimmering treasure chest, his eyes wide with surprise. "Wait, players can wear this too?" he exclaimed, the realization dawning on him. As he pondered the implications, his mind raced. "Hold on, that means the gear that turned a damn goblin into a god. I can use it myself. The thought was both thrilling and daunting, as he recalled the power such items could bestow. He turned his attention to the digital display, which confirmed the presence of one premium gacha ticket. Could this be my chance? He wondered, the possibilities swirling in his mind. Suddenly, a voice called out, "Over here!" Startled, he glanced to the side, his eyes narrowing in focus as he tried to locate the source of the call. Voices echoed through the forest, alerting the young warrior. Voices? Someone's coming, he thought, deciding that the ticket would have to wait. A group of armored figures charged through the trees, urgency in their steps. "Ma'am, the tracks lead this way," one of them shouted, his voice carrying over the rustling leaves. The leader, a determined woman, urged them on. "Stop talking and focus on finding that ogre." Their boots pounded the ground, following the trail with precision. "The ogre's trail definitely leads," the man began, but his words were cut short as he halted abruptly. Confusion spread across his face as the woman behind him questioned, "What? Why'd you stop?" Her eyes widened in surprise as she locked eyes with the MC, who stood before them, equally startled. They both uttered, the unexpected encounter leaving them momentarily speechless. The protagonist stood before the massive, fallen ogre, its body sprawled across the path. The air was still, save for the faint hum of the blue energy surrounding him. Behind him, the group of armored figures approached, their eyes widening at the sight. Leading the group was Yoon Soo Dash, the determined leader of Team 2 from the Pungbeat Guild. Her presence was commanding, and her team followed closely, their expressions a mix of surprise and curiosity. The MC recognized her immediately. "Wait, that's Yoon Soo from the Pungbeat Guild?" he thought, realizing they must have been hunting the ogre as well. The situation was becoming complicated, and he could sense the tension rising. As he turned to face them, a voice called out, "Hey, wait a second." The urgency in the call made him pause, unsure of what would come next. The armored figures moved swiftly, their boots crunching against the forest floor as they approached. The MC stood amidst them, his eyes meeting those of the stern man in armor. The group halted, and the man spoke with authority. "We're with the Pungbeat Guild. This ogre is an abnormal species we've been tracking." The determined woman, Yoon Soo Dash, stepped forward, her gaze piercing. "Tell me, did you take this thing down?" she demanded, her voice carrying a mix of curiosity and challenge. The protagonist felt a bead of sweat trickle down his temple. "Damn it," he thought. "Is she picking a fight because I stole her kill? How the hell? How do I get out of this?" His mind raced, searching for a way to navigate the tense situation. The protagonist stood before the massive ogre, its lifeless body sprawled across the path. The armored figures from the Pungbeat Guild approached cautiously, their eyes wide with disbelief. Yoon Soo Dash, the determined leader, studied the scene intently. Her gaze shifted from the fallen creature to the young man, her mind racing with questions. "He really took that thing down alone?" she wondered, her expression a mix of awe and skepticism. Even as she processed the scene, she couldn't help but acknowledge the ogre's formidable strength. Even if it was wounded, that ogre is at least B rank, she thought, her eyes narrowing as she assessed the situation. Memories of their previous encounter with the beast flashed through her mind. The 3 B rank hunters, including herself, had struggled against the ogre's might, unable to land a single blow. The realization of the young man's feat left her both impressed and wary. The young woman with piercing eyes assessed the situation, her thoughts racing. "He's got the skills of an A rank minimum," she mused, acknowledging the protagonist's prowess. A bead of sweat trickled down her temple as she added, "Yeah, for now." The protagonist stood firm, his expression calm yet curious. A gloved hand extended towards him, accompanied by a friendly voice. "Nice to meet you, Hunter." The woman, now smiling warmly, introduced herself. "I'm Yoon Soo, from the Pungbeat Guild." Her demeanor shifted from cautious to welcoming, her hand still outstretched. As they shook hands, a thought lingered in her mind. "Let's see what kind of man he is." The young man responded confidently, "I'm Kim Hanul," as sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a serene glow over their meeting. A brilliant light burst forth, illuminating the sky with a radiant glow. The figure of an archangel emerged, its presence commanding and majestic. The message was clear. The archangel of the heavens shows deep interest in the person before you. Yoon Soo's eyes widened in surprise, a bead of sweat forming on her cheek. She turned to Kim Hanul, her expression a mix of disbelief and curiosity. "A constellation is interested in him?" she thought, her gaze fixed on the young man. Despite the extraordinary revelation, he appeared so ordinary. Her mind raced with questions as she studied his calm demeanor, wondering what lay beneath the surface. The group stood before the fallen ogre, its massive form sprawled across the forest floor. One of the armored figures turned to Kim Hanul, asking, "Hunter Hanul, did you take down this ogre yourself?" The young man replied with a casual shrug. "Well, something like that." Yoon Soo Dash, with her piercing golden eyes, watched him closely. Her mind raced with suspicion. First of all, she pondered, wondering if he was hiding something. The young woman addressed him directly, explaining, "Actually, this ogre is a target that got away from us. We were worried it might cause collateral damage nearby. It's a relief you stopped it." Kim Hanul responded modestly, "I just got lucky." Her eyes narrowed, skepticism clear in her gaze. This isn't the kind of monster you kill with just luck, she thought, her instincts telling her that he was definitely hiding something. In that case, she resolved silently, determined to uncover the truth. The young woman with striking golden eyes addressed Kim Hanul, her voice steady and confident. "We'll hand over all rights to the ogre you hunted," she declared, her expression calm yet firm. Kim Hanul looked up, a hint of surprise in his eyes. "Hand them over?" he echoed, trying to grasp the unexpected offer. The scene shifted to a wider view, revealing the fallen ogre and the group standing around it. "Yes, our guild will handle the disposal and the payout for you," she continued, her voice carrying a tone of gratitude. "After all, you finished the job for us." The protagonist, still processing the situation, questioned, "Are you serious?" His thoughts raced. "I basically stole the guild's prey. Why is she giving it up so easily?" The woman, her lips barely moving, added, "In exchange," leaving the implication hanging in the air. The armored group stood before Kim Hanul, with the woman in the center speaking directly to him. "There's something I'd like to ask of you," she stated, her tone firm yet inviting. The protagonist felt a sense of inevitability wash over him. "Figures. I knew there'd be a catch," he thought, a bead of sweat forming on his brow. "Wait, what?" he responded aloud, his curiosity piqued. The young woman, Yoon-soo Dash, reached into her pocket and pulled out a sleek smartphone. Her fingers moved swiftly over the screen, the device glowing softly in her hands. As she continued, a magical aura seemed to envelop the scene, flowers and sparkles surrounding her and the group. Her expression was one of determination, while the others looked on in surprise and awe. Yoon-soo Dash, her expression intense, suddenly blurted out, "Hunter Hanul, could I have your number?" Her voice echoed with urgency, catching everyone off guard. Kim Hanul stood there, momentarily stunned. He managed to utter, his mind racing to process the unexpected request. "My number?" he repeated, still trying to comprehend the situation. The scene shifted to a bright, clear sky, the sun shining down as a voice called out, "Hunter, thank you so much." The gratitude was palpable, filling the air with warmth. An elderly man approached Kim Hanul, shaking his hand vigorously. Really thank you. You saved us," he exclaimed, his relief evident. The young man responded humbly, "Think nothing of it." His demeanor calm and reassuring. Kim Hanul, with a reassuring smile, informed the elderly man, "It's safe to go up the mountain now." The older gentleman, looking relieved, acknowledged the young man's efforts. "You've all been through a lot," he said, gratitude evident in his voice. We have to repay you somehow." The elderly man, his expression thoughtful, addressed Kim Hanul directly. "Actually, Chief," he began, a hint of curiosity in his tone. The protagonist leaned in slightly, a playful glint in his eyes. "Where is that famous training monument located?" he inquired, his interest piqued. The older man seemed taken aback. "The training monument?" he repeated, clearly surprised. "You certainly did your homework before coming here." The path stretched out before him, dappled with sunlight filtering through the lush canopy above. "Just follow this path straight down and you'll find it right over there," the voice had instructed, guiding him toward his destination. Kim Hanul walked along the trail, surrounded by the vibrant green of the forest. "This place is famous for bringing good luck," the words echoed in his mind, adding a sense of anticipation to his steps. "If you need a bit of luck, it'll help you out," he recalled, a slight smile playing on his lips. Though he didn't really believe in superstitions, the idea intrigued him. As he approached the towering monument, a small chest appeared in his hands, glowing with a mysterious light. "Who knows? Maybe I'll pull something better if I draw in a lucky spot," he mused, standing before the stone, ready to test his fortune. The phone vibrated softly, displaying a message notification. It was a text from Yoon-soo Dash. Kim Hanul glanced at his phone, a small chest still in his other hand. "Hunter Yoon-soo Dash?" he murmured, curiosity piqued. The message read, "Hunter Hanul, this is Yoon-soo from the Pungbeak Guild. As we discussed, we'll handle the ogre's corpse for you. Please contact me when you're heading to the guild." He was surprised, thinking to himself, she actually reached out? Standing before the monument, he pondered the unexpected gesture. That's unexpected. She used her personal number instead of the guild's office line, he noted, the sunlight filtering through the trees around him. With a sigh, Kim Hanul muttered, "Whatever," his breath visible in the cool air. He stood before the monument holding the glowing chest. "Time to open the rest of these rewards," he declared, a mix of excitement and disbelief in his voice. "I never thought I'd see this chest in real life." The young man examined the chest closely, contemplating the odds. The drop rates are trash, but there's a chance for a high-rank item, he thought, his hopes pinned on the outcome. Please, just give me an A rank. A digital prompt appeared before him, asking, use premium gacha ticket to open the chest? The decision loomed, filled with anticipation. Kim Hanul stood in the clearing, the sunlight filtering through the trees as he held the glowing chest. Open! He commanded, his voice filled with anticipation. The chest shimmered in his hands, ready to reveal its secrets. As the command was given, a brilliant swirl of light erupted from the chest, enveloping him in a dazzling display. The forest around him seemed to come alive with the vibrant colors, casting a magical aura over the scene. Items from these chests come in various ranks, and the highest among them, the S rank, glowed with a golden light. The image of a magnificent armor appeared, its brilliance unmatched, promising power and prestige. Wait, this light? He exclaimed, his eyes widening in disbelief. The golden glow surrounded him, illuminating the forest with its radiant hue. Golden? He murmured, awestruck by the unexpected turn of events. The vibrant light from the chest shifted, catching Kim Hanul's attention. It's red! He exclaimed, his eyes widening in shock as the unexpected color filled his vision. The scene transitioned to a serene view of a building under a clear blue sky, a rainbow faintly visible in the background, adding a touch of tranquility to the moment. Inside, the young man sat at his desk, surrounded by glowing monitors. He leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. He murmured, contemplating the situation. The protagonist pondered aloud. This is an unexpected problem. He rested his chin on his hand, considering his next move. I figured out how to get gold. But his voice trailed off, uncertainty lingering in the air. Kim Hanul sat in front of a glowing screen, his finger hovering over the options. I'm trying to hire monsters, but I can't select anything on the status window, he muttered, frustration evident in his voice. What the hell is the issue? The screen displayed a list titled Lord's Transaction. Monster List, showing various creatures and their costs. His eyes scanned the options. Goblin Fighter, Goblin Archer, and more, each with a price tag. The available options were highlighted. Goblin Fighter and Ogre Berserker. Are these two the only ones I can hire right now? He wondered aloud. The Goblin Warrior is only 70 gold, so that makes sense. A vivid image of the monsters appeared, their forms surrounded by an aura of power. But why is the Ogre Berserker available? He costs 420 gold, he questioned, confusion creeping in. I shouldn't have enough gold yet. The realization struck him suddenly. Wait, don't tell me, he thought, as the scene of fallen monsters flashed before his eyes. The ground was littered with the bodies of creatures he had defeated. Can I only hire monsters I've personally killed? He pondered, the question lingering in his mind. Sitting back in his chair, Kim Hanul considered the implications. If that's the case, it adds up, he reasoned, understanding why only certain options were available. That's why only these two are unlocked, he concluded, his eyes fixed on the glowing screen. The protagonist's gaze shifted, determination setting in. I have to hunt them myself, he mused, acknowledging the challenge ahead. It's a tough requirement, but... He trailed off, contemplating his next move. With renewed resolve, he recalled the item he had obtained earlier. With that item I pulled earlier, he thought, as the vibrant energy of the premium gacha ticket enveloped him. The forest around him shimmered with the radiant light, signaling the beginning of a new opportunity. The shimmering glasses lay on the table, surrounded by a mystical aura. If I use this right, he thought, contemplating the potential of the item before him. The description of the beholder's glasses appeared, detailing their unique properties. These glasses, crafted by a sage, offered a significant boost to all stats and the ability to use the sage's eye skill twice a day. It's not impossible, he mused, realizing the power they held. Kim Hanul stared at the glasses in disbelief. I can't believe I actually pulled a unique, he marveled, holding the item carefully. It was a unique grade item, a rarity that few had ever seen. Reflecting on the game's lore, he understood its true value. Based on the game's lore, it's worth more than a pile of high-rank gear, he acknowledged, comparing it to other A-rank items like Sauda's armor and Tentium's ring. The effects of this single unique item were far superior, a treasure beyond compare. Kim Hanul sat quietly, contemplating the possibilities. And besides, he thought, his mind racing with the potential of the item. The young man looked down at the glasses in his hands, a sense of anticipation building. It said I could wear it too, he recalled, the words echoing in his mind. With a determined expression, he placed the glasses on his face. Let's see, he murmured, adjusting them carefully. Suddenly, a burst of energy enveloped him. The room filled with a brilliant blue light. His eyes widened in awe as the power surged through him, illuminating his surroundings with an intense glow. The status window displayed Kim Hanul's details, revealing his age and gender. His stats showed a significant boost, with strength, agility, stamina, and willpower all enhanced by the unique item. The description of the Sage's Eye skill appeared, explaining its ability to reveal a target's stats and skills twice a day, with no charge for C rank or lower targets. Whoa! He exclaimed, astonished by the potential of the skill. The protagonist stared at the glowing screen, his eyes wide with disbelief. My stats really went up by 5? He questioned, pointing at the display. A smile spread across his face as he realized the unique grade items effect was real. The unique grade item effect actually works on me, he thought, excitement bubbling within him. This is insane, he concluded, the thrill of newfound power evident in his expression. Kim Hanul sat in his chair, the glow of the screen reflecting off his face. Wait, can I use this skill too? He wondered aloud, excitement tingling in his voice. The thought of using the Sage's Eye to see the enemy's info before a fight filled him with anticipation. This is exactly what I need right now, he realized, as images of various creatures appeared before him. The mutant hydra, gargoyle, and werewolf, each with their respective ranks, flashed on the screen. Hunting will be a breeze if I can see their info ahead of time, he thought, strategizing his next move. Yet, as he held the glasses, a thought nagged at him. There's one thing bothering me, he admitted, examining the delicate frame in his hands. Why am I getting all this power for free? He questioned, a hint of suspicion creeping into his mind. The young man stared at the glasses, pondering the mystery behind their sudden appearance in his life. Kim Hanul sat in his dimly lit room, the glow of the computer screen casting shadows on his face. He held the glasses in his hand, pondering the question that lingered in his mind. Why me? He wondered, the thought echoing in the quiet space. Suddenly, a loud alert blared across the screen, the word warning, flashing in bold red letters. The intensity of the message startled him, drawing his full attention. The screen continued to display ominous messages, declaring, "The wave is about to begin." The urgency of the situation was palpable, and he felt a chill run down his spine. "Prepare your defenses," the screen commanded, as the protagonist's eyes widened in shock. A bead of sweat formed on his brow as he tried to comprehend the sudden turn of events. He murmured, confusion and concern etched on his face. Kim Hanul stood in front of the computer, his eyes wide as red alerts flashed across the screen. The room was filled with the urgent sound of alarms, and he stammered, What is this?" The protagonist's face was tense, beads of sweat forming as he tried to process the situation. "This is," he murmured, his voice trailing off in disbelief. A mysterious symbol glowed on the screen, casting a blue hue over the room. He stared at the large display, recognizing it as the MangaMangacapped game screen. The realization hit him, and he whispered, "It's the MangaMangacapped game screen." The screen displayed an urgent message. "The 701st monster wave starts in 10 minutes. Prepare your defenses." Kim Hanul's eyes widened as he read the words. "Prepare my defenses?" He echoed, confusion mingling with disbelief. "A monster wave? Like in MangaMangacapped?" He questioned, his mind racing to connect the dots. A vivid image of a monstrous horde filled his vision, creatures of all shapes and sizes advancing with menacing intent. "You want me to stop that right now?" he thought, the enormity of the task dawning on him. Standing in his room, the young man looked around frantically. "Is there no way to decline?" he asked aloud, desperation creeping into his voice. "What happens if I can't stop the wave?" he wondered, the weight of the impending challenge pressing heavily on his shoulders. The screen blared a dire warning. "If you fail to defend against the invasion," the message ominously declared, heightening the tension in the room. Kim Hanul, seated at his desk, stared at the screen as it continued. "The Lord's castle of illusions will fall," the words echoing in his mind. The message concluded with a chilling promise. "And all your powers will vanish." His eyes widened in shock, reflecting the image of a city in flames, a vision of destruction that seemed all too real. The scene shifted to a cityscape engulfed in chaos, buildings crumbling under a fiery sky, the devastation a stark reminder of the stakes at hand. The screen blazed with a dire warning. "This world will be destroyed." The ominous message hung in the air, casting a shadow over the room as Kim Hanul absorbed the gravity of the situation. Kim Hanul stood before the glowing screen, the message stark and urgent. "The 701st monster wave will begin in 10 minutes. The countdown loomed ominously, a digital hourglass marking the time he had left. The young man stared at the display, his mind racing. The screen depicted a map, a castle at its center, surrounded by a grid that seemed to pulse with energy. He whispered to himself, "You want me to stop the monsters, right now?" His voice was filled with disbelief, the enormity of the task weighing heavily on him. The realization hit him hard. "It looks exactly like the game MangaMangacapped," he thought, confusion etched on his face. "But why is it suddenly telling me to play the game?" The question hung in the air, unanswered, as the digital world around him seemed to come alive. Kim Hanul stood amidst a scene of devastation, the city around him crumbling into chaos. His thoughts were consumed by the absurdity of the situation. And then there's this ridiculous penalty, he mused, frustration evident in his expression. The young man couldn't fathom the logic behind it. It makes no sense for the world to end just because I lost a game, he thought, his mind racing to find a solution. The screen in front of him displayed a countdown. The monster wave will begin in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Prepare for the invasion. The urgency of the message was undeniable. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. Right? There's no point overthinking it, he resolved, placing his hand on the glowing interface. What matters most right now is that I have to stop the monsters. Determination set in as he prepared to face the impending threat. The game MANHWA appeared on the screen, described as a simple defense game where players must stop monsters from attacking a castle. The scene depicted a pixelated fortress surrounded by ominous creatures, their wings casting shadows on the ground. However, the game's brutal difficulty was highlighted, requiring thorough strategy to fend off the monstrous onslaught. Under a moonlit sky, a fearsome array of creatures loomed, their menacing forms silhouetted against the night. Not only must players deploy monsters in the right places, but they must also harness powerful energies, depicted as a brilliant explosion of light, illuminating the battlefield with an intense glow. Additionally, utilizing numerous defensive structures built into the castle was crucial. Kim Hanel stood amidst a digital interface, surrounded by glowing screens, his focus unwavering as he prepared to engage in the strategic battle ahead. Kim Hanel stood amidst a digital landscape, surrounded by a wide variety of items. His fingers moved swiftly over the glowing interface, utilizing countless elements to devise the right strategies and tactics for each situation. The core of the game was clear to him now. He wondered aloud, are the controls touch-based? As his hand hovered over the screen, ready to engage. With determination, he said, now, let's see what forces I have available. His eyes scanned the data, searching for the best options. The screen displayed a message, checking monsters available for deployment in the monarch's castle. His focus intensified, ready to deploy his strategy. A message appeared, stating that a total of 4 monsters had been delivered via the Mana Stone sale. Including these, there were now 5 monsters available for deployment. The list of deployable monsters included 1 goblin slave, 3 goblin fighters, and 1 ogre berserker. The young man noticed the details and thought, what's this? If I send mana stones to the Lord's castle, I can use them during waves without having to hire them separately. Kim Hanel, standing before the glowing interface, pondered aloud. Can I use the Lord as well, like before? His hand hovered over the screen, reflecting his curiosity and determination. However, the screen informed him that the Butler of Illusions and the Lord were unavailable resources. Frustration crept in as he muttered, damn it! Kim Hanel's eyes glinted with determination as he considered his options. Then, what about buying additional troops with my gold? He thought, his finger poised to make a selection on the glowing interface. A message appeared, stating, it is impossible to hire new monsters immediately after receiving a wave notification. Frustration etched across his face. He exclaimed, are you trying to help me clear this or not? The digital display shifted, announcing, displaying monster information. The 701st monster wave is. The screen revealed a formidable foe, Count Gular and his elite unit, the Dragon Children. Their presence marked by an ominous aura and a row of stars indicating their power. The digital display highlighted the formidable Count Gular, whose forces consisted of 40 wyverns and 20 half-drakes. The screen emphasized the magnitude of the threat, showing the wyverns and half-drakes with a row of stars indicating their power. A total of 61 monsters were set to appear, creating an ominous challenge. The scene shifted to a more detailed view of Count Gular, a 6-star rank monster, underscoring the immense combat power he possessed. The star rank was explained as a metric used to indicate a monster's combat prowess, adding weight to the impending battle. The focus moved to the half-drakes, their wings slicing through the air with raw power. The rank represented the raw combat potential of the monster itself, a crucial factor in the upcoming confrontation. A towering silhouette of Count Gular loomed, his presence exuding an intimidating aura. Below, a lone figure stood, dwarfed by the massive creature. It was common sense that if the gap in power was too wide, it wouldn't even be a fight. The challenge was daunting, as the task was to stop a 6-star monster and 65-star monsters. The cards displayed a goblin fighter and an ogre berserker, their ranks clearly marked. The odds seemed insurmountable with just 1-star goblins and 3-star ogres at his disposal. The scene shifted to a fiery battlefield, the word defeat emblazoned across the chaos. The young man realized, at this rate, I can't even handle a single one, let alone 61. Kim Hanel's eyes reflected his desperation. I don't have enough gold or monsters to even form a strategy, he thought, a bead of sweat trailing down his face. Suddenly, a notification appeared, offering a special benefit as the sole player. He could select 1 defensive structure and 1 item, a glimmer of hope in the dire situation. A perk? He wondered, contemplating his next move. The digital display announced, "You can select one defensive structure and one item," offering a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos. A selection of options appeared, showcasing various defensive structures and items. The young man pondered, "I can choose one defensive structure and one item?" As he surveyed the choices before him, Kim Han-il stood before the glowing interface, his expression a mix of disbelief and determination. "Are they really telling me to clear the 701st wave with just that?" he questioned, his voice tinged with incredulity. The MC considered the daunting task ahead. "This is insane. Clearing the game with only 2 perks," he thought, sweat beading on his brow. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds, a flicker of resolve remained. But still, he mused, contemplating his next move. Kim Han-il, with a determined glint in his eyes, declared, "As a veteran of this trash game, I have my ways." His confidence was palpable, a stark contrast to the sweat glistening on his brow. His hand moved swiftly across the glowing interface, fingers dancing over the digital display. "I've played this game longer than anyone," he thought, his mind racing with strategies. The countdown loomed ominously, but he remained unfazed. "Others might wonder how I'm supposed to stop a wave in this state. But," he mused, his fingers tapping decisively. The digital landscape shimmered with possibilities. "If it's me, it's possible," he resolved, determination etched on his face. "If I use every bit of knowledge I have," he continued, ready to face the challenge head-on. The countdown ticked ominously at 5.12 as Kim Han-il, clad in his white jacket, moved with urgency. With just these troops and 2 perks, he thought, determination fueling his every action. The timer continued to race, now showing 0.54, as the cards of a goblin fighter and an ogre berserker hovered before him. His expression was tense, sweat glistening on his brow as the seconds dwindled to 0.15. A goblin slave card appeared, and he resolved, "I can definitely hold them off." The timer hit midnight, signaling the critical moment. In the dimly lit room, the MC sat with a focused gaze, a bead of sweat trailing down his face. "I've done everything I can now," he thought, his resolve unwavering. With a defiant shout, Kim Han-il declared, "Come at me!" As the countdown reached 0, the sky darkened with the arrival of a massive horde of winged creatures, their ominous forms casting shadows over the land. Among them, a colossal beast led the charge, its wings spanning wide as it descended upon the glowing barrier below. A figure with flowing white hair stood resolute, arms crossed, as the digital display announced, "The wave is beginning." The sky was filled with a swarm of menacing creatures, their red eyes glowing ominously as they descended. The air was thick with the sound of their wings beating furiously, creating a cacophony of chaos. Suddenly, a powerful force erupted, clashing with the creatures. Blue energy crackled and surged, striking the beasts with a fierce intensity. The impact was explosive, sending shockwaves through the air. A figure with flowing white hair stood firm, his expression one of steely resolve. His arms were crossed, and his presence exuded authority and power as he observed the unfolding battle. The creatures continued their relentless assault, diving towards the glowing barrier below. The energy shield shimmered with a brilliant blue light, holding strong against the onslaught. As the battle raged on, Kim Han-il, with a confident smirk, observed the glowing digital fortress. The strategy worked, he thought, as the holographic castle shimmered under the protective dome. The display highlighted the infinite barrier, a formidable defense mechanism. It boasted the ability to withstand any attack, reducing damage by only 1 point regardless of the assault's power. The durability remained at a perfect 100 out of 100, a testament to its strength. The MC reflected on the barrier's unique condition. It could only be deployed when the forces averaged 2 stars or lower, making it a tool for beginners. His hand hovered over the digital interface, a satisfied grin on his face. A small, adorable creature appeared, holding a tiny shield. It sparkled with an innocent charm, embodying the beginner-only nature of the item. Quite literally, it was a tool for those just starting their journey. A swirling vortex of fiery energy erupted, casting a brilliant glow across the battlefield. The intense heat radiated outward, creating a barrier of flames that seemed impenetrable. The wyvern launched a fierce attack, its fiery breath colliding with the infinite barrier. The impact was powerful, yet the defense held firm, absorbing the blow with minimal damage. As the wyverns continued their relentless assault, the barrier's durability decreased incrementally. Each strike chipped away at its strength, but the reduction was only by 1 point per attack. Kim Han-il, observing the situation, noted the challenge. No matter the attack, the durability only dropped by 1, but the sheer number of enemies posed a significant threat. A determined expression crossed his face as he strategized his next move. The barrier's durability stood at a solid 100, but if 61 monsters attacked simultaneously, the situation would change drastically. The digital display showed the durability dropping to 39 out of 100, a stark reminder of the relentless assault. A confident smirk appeared on Kim Han-il's face as he considered the situation. Despite the rapid decrease, he knew there was a solution. His fingers moved swiftly over the interface, executing a technique known as mad click, a rapid series of inputs designed to counteract the damage. With each click, the barrier's durability increased by 1 point, climbing back to 55 out of 100. Unfazed by the attacks, he resolved to continue the frantic clicking to restore the barrier's strength. Kim Hanul's hand moved with relentless speed, each click a testament to his determination. The strain was evident, yet he pushed through, knowing the defense depended on it. The barrier shimmered under the onslaught, a cacophony of impacts echoing as the wyverns continued their assault. Despite the chaos, the defense held firm, a testament to his efforts. With the immediate threat managed, he pondered his next move. The question lingered in his mind, a challenge he was eager to tackle. A brilliant beam of light descended, striking with precision. The wyvern recoiled, a single point of damage marking the beginning of its downfall. A fierce battle raged on as a torrent of red energy crackled through the air, illuminating the scene with a menacing glow. The wyverns, undeterred by the barrier, continued their relentless assault. Below, a group of goblins, armed with glowing spoons, prepared to engage. Normally, such creatures would stand no chance against the mighty wyverns, but something was different this time. The goblins moved with an unusual confidence, their eyes fixed on the formidable foes above. One goblin, in particular, stood out, its hand engulfed in flames as it gripped the spoon tightly. The fire danced around its form, a testament to the power it wielded. With this newfound strength, the goblin knew it could achieve the impossible. The secret lay in the item it held, Haken's Spoon, an A-rank tool that allowed even the weakest monster to deal long-range damage, ignoring the difference in star ranks. As the goblin struck, the wyverns and half-drakes recoiled, each taking a single point of damage. Though minimal, the impact was undeniable, proving that even the smallest force could make a difference. The wyvern let out a piercing screech as a small projectile struck its tough hide, causing a single point of damage. Its red eyes narrowed in confusion, trying to comprehend the unexpected attack. Below, a goblin with a mischievous grin danced around, its tongue sticking out in delight. The creature seemed unfazed by the danger, confident in its ability to make a difference. It knew that if the wyverns continued to be hit, they would eventually fall. The goblin calculated the situation, realizing that with continuous attacks, it would take about 60 hours to bring down the formidable foes. The sky was filled with the chaotic dance of wyverns, each one a target for the goblin's relentless assault. Meanwhile, Kim Hanul, focused and determined, continued to repair the barrier. His fingers moved swiftly over the interface, knowing that maintaining the defense for 60 hours was crucial. A determined smile played on his lips as he prepared for the long battle ahead. Kim Hanul's fingers danced over the glowing interface, determination etched on his face. The blue light pulsed with each touch, reflecting his resolve. "Let's see then, whether I collapse," he muttered, eyes fixed on the durability meter which read 60/100. Below, the goblins charged forward, their eyes gleaming with a fierce determination. The leader, with a fiery spoon in hand, shouted, "I wonder if those bastards will die from the spoon first." The wyverns above continued their relentless assault, unaware of the goblin's newfound confidence. A figure with long, flowing hair and a menacing expression appeared, his presence commanding attention. The goblin leader, undeterred, grinned wickedly, ready to face whatever challenge lay ahead. The sky erupted in a brilliant explosion of light, the wyverns silhouetted against the fiery backdrop. The battle raged on, each side determined to outlast the other. Kim Hanul wiped the sweat from his brow, his breath visible in the cool air. "Phew, this isn't as easy as I thought," he admitted, his fingers still working tirelessly over the glowing interface. Feeling the strain, he considered taking a break. "Maybe I should get a drink of water," he thought, reaching for a bottle nearby. Suddenly, a dark, swirling energy enveloped him, catching him off guard. His eyes widened in shock as he felt an unfamiliar sensation. "Am my body?" he stammered, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. The room seemed to close in around him, a message flashing ominously. "Other actions are restricted during play." He stood frozen, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. A clenched fist trembled with frustration, the tension palpable in the air. Kim Hanul, sweat trickling down his face, questioned the situation. "So, for now, I'm just supposed to shut up and play the game?" he pondered, his voice tinged with disbelief. His hand hovered over the glowing interface, the blue light reflecting his restricted movements. "With my movements restricted," he thought, the reality of his task sinking in. "I have to do nothing but click for 60 hours to defend," he realized, the enormity of the challenge daunting. Below, the goblins continued their relentless assault, their determination unwavering. For an ordinary person, this difficulty would be enough to drive them to despair. The sky darkened as a massive red dragon descended, its jaws wide open, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Below, the wyverns scattered, their red eyes glowing fiercely against the fiery backdrop. The dragon roared, its voice echoing through the battlefield, as flames erupted around it, casting a hellish glow. The wyverns circled, their wings slicing through the smoke-filled air. A barrier of blue light shimmered into existence, its surface rippling like water, standing as the last line of defense against the oncoming inferno. The dragon unleashed a torrent of fire, the explosion of heat and light overwhelming, as the barrier struggled to hold against the relentless assault. The red dragon unleashed a ferocious blast of fire, its roar echoing as the flames cascaded downwards. The intense heat and light enveloped the battlefield, the barrier struggling to withstand the onslaught. Kim Hanul, sweat glistening on his brow, felt a rush of adrenaline. A smile crept onto his face as he thought, right, this thrill is exactly why I played this game. The explosion intensified, a brilliant burst of fire and energy consuming everything in its path. The structure below trembled under the force, the air thick with heat and tension. His fingers danced over the glowing interface, the blue light reflecting his determination. Time elapsed, 2 hours 03 minutes. The display read, marking the relentless passage of time in this intense battle. The countdown displayed ominously. Remaining time, 57 hours 57 minutes. Kim Hanul, his resolve hardening, thought about the dire consequences. The penalty is the end of the world, along with various other dire conditions, he reflected. Yet determination filled his eyes. But that's no reason for me to give up, he resolved, raising his arms defiantly. Fine, you damn game. Let's, he declared, a fierce grin spreading across his face. His expression turned intense, red eyes glowing with determination. Let's see who wins this, he challenged, his voice echoing with unwavering resolve. The goblins charged forward, their fierce expressions revealing their intent to attack. In the midst of the chaos, a wyvern swooped down, its claws slashing through the air. The battle log displayed the damage inflicted. 1 wyvern has taken 1 damage. 1 half-drake has taken 1 damage. 1 wyvern has taken 1 damage. 1 wyvern has taken 1 damage. Kim Hanul, sweat trickling down his face, focused intently on the screen. Standing in his room, he glanced at the timer. Has it been 12 hours already? 48 hours to go. He murmured, determination in his voice. Even if it's only 1 at a time, the damage is gradually stacking up. If I keep attacking like this, I can take them down, he thought, his resolve unwavering. The goblins charged with fierce determination, their muscles tensed as they launched an attack. A powerful strike landed, and the battle log updated. 1 half-drake has taken 1 damage. Kim Hanul, focused and resolute, interacted with the glowing interface. His fingers moved with precision, the blue light illuminating his determined expression. In the sky above, chaos reigned as 2 wyverns plummeted, their forms crashing to the ground. The battle log confirmed their defeat. 2 wyverns have died. The young man, sweat glistening on his brow, noted the dwindling numbers. Remaining monsters, 59/61. The display read. A sense of accomplishment filled him as he thought. Finally, they're starting to fall. The sky was a chaotic battlefield, with wyverns circling above, their fierce cries echoing through the air. A protective barrier shimmered below, holding strong against the onslaught. Good. If we can just hold out like this, we can do it, a voice declared, filled with determination. The wyverns continued their relentless assault, their red eyes glowing with malice as they swooped down, testing the strength of the barrier. Inside a dimly lit room, Kim Hanul stood focused, his eyes fixed on the glowing interface before him. The display read, monsters remaining, 56/61, a testament to his progress. Sweat glistened on his brow as he maintained his concentration, the room filled with the soft hum of technology. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow over the room. The young man, undeterred by the challenge, continued to interact with the interface, his resolve unwavering. The battle outside raged on, but within these walls, his determination was a beacon of hope. Kim Hanul gritted his teeth, determination etched on his face as the display showed monsters remaining, 51/61. Sweat trickled down his brow, but his focus remained unbroken. The number shifted to 49/61, a testament to his relentless efforts. His eyes burned with resolve, the light from the screen reflecting his unwavering spirit. Above, the sky was a chaotic scene of battle. Wyverns with glowing red eyes descended, their fierce presence a constant threat. The air was filled with tension as they swooped down, testing the defenses. In the midst of the chaos, a powerful figure with long white hair stood before a massive creature. The battle log updated. 2 half-drakes have died. 1 wyvern has died. The figure's presence was commanding, their gaze fixed on the unfolding battle, a red gem gleaming ominously at their chest. Explosions erupted in a fiery display, debris scattering in all directions as the battle intensified. The battle log updated with precision. 1 half-drake has taken 1 damage. Above, a wyvern plummeted, its life extinguished, while the log confirmed, 1 wyvern has died. A half-drakes have died. The remaining monsters dwindled to 2/61st, a testament to the fierce struggle. Kim Hanul stood resolute, his expression focused as he absorbed the gravity of the situation. Sweat glistened on his brow, a silent witness to his determination. Only 2 left now, he thought, his finger poised over the glowing interface. A warning flashed urgently, durability 5 out of 100, signaling the critical state of their defenses. A green-skinned creature charged forward with fierce determination, its muscles tensed and ready for battle. The air around it seemed to ripple with the force of its movement, a testament to its speed and power. As it propelled itself forward, an explosion erupted nearby, sending shockwaves through the air. The sky above was painted in hues of red and orange, a wyvern silhouetted against the fiery backdrop. The creature's momentum carried it through the chaos, while a wyvern unleashed a powerful attack, its form a blur of red and black. The energy it released spiraled through the air, a deadly force aimed at its target. The attack struck with explosive impact, the ground shattering beneath the force. Flames and debris scattered in all directions, the wyvern's assault a devastating display of power. The display showed a critical alert, durability 0/100. The barrier's durability had been completely depleted, a dire situation unfolding. Kim Hanul's eyes widened in shock as he realized the gravity of the situation. The barrier is being destroyed, the message flashed ominously. His heart raced as he processed the information, panic setting in. What? He exclaimed, a bead of sweat trickling down his face. This is bad. I dozed off for a second and forgot to repair it, he thought, berating himself for the lapse. If the monarch's castle takes even a single hit. His mind raced with the potential consequences. Meanwhile, a green-skinned creature charged forward, its weapon raised high, ready to strike with deadly force. Kim Hanul shouted in alarm, his voice echoing through the chaos. His eyes widened as he called out, "Gono!" In the sky, a fierce battle unfolded. A wyvern, its form a blur of red, charged with deadly intent, its target locked in its sights. The green-skinned creature, muscles taut and ready, leaped into action. Its eyes glowed with determination as it faced the oncoming threat. Below, a figure stood resolute, observing the clash with unwavering focus. The creature's expression was fierce, its teeth bared in a snarl as it prepared to strike. Energy crackled around it, a testament to its power and resolve. A fierce clash erupted as a figure wielding a glowing weapon charged through a storm of debris and blood. The air was thick with the energy of the battle, the ground trembling beneath the force of the impact. The green-skinned warrior, muscles taut and eyes blazing with determination, leaped forward, his weapon slicing through the chaos with precision. His movements were a blur, a testament to his agility and strength. Kim Hanul watched in awe, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and admiration. Sweat trickled down his face as he took in the scene, the reality of the battle sinking in. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, the warrior soared into the sky, his silhouette framed against the fiery horizon. The ground below was a shattered landscape, a testament to the ferocity of the conflict. A digital display announced triumphantly, "Congratulations. You have cleared the 701st wave." Kim Hanul stood in his room, the light streaming through the window casting shadows across his face. His expression was one of disbelief as he muttered, I really." His eyes widened, filled with a mix of shock and relief. "Finally," he whispered, the weight of his achievement sinking in. With a burst of energy, he threw his fists into the air, exclaiming, "Did it!" The room echoed with his triumphant shout. A breathless laugh escaped him as he bent forward, the reality of his success washing over him. "I actually did it," he murmured, a smile breaking through his exhaustion. Kim Hanul lay sprawled on the floor, his body hitting the ground with a thud. The morning light streamed through the window, casting a warm glow over him as he groaned. Slowly, he pushed himself up, rubbing his head in confusion. Was I passed out that whole time?" He wondered aloud, feeling the dull ache in his skull. His eyes snapped open, a sudden realization dawning on him. He murmured, trying to piece together the fragments of his memory. The screen displayed a message of triumph, announcing the reward settlement for the 701st wave. It detailed the defeat of Count Guler and his Dragon Children unit, humorously noting that the Count never imagined being beaten to death with a spoon. Kim Hanul sat on the floor, surrounded by shimmering notifications. The items obtained were listed: 20 wyvern bones, 10 drake scales, and 5 drake hearts. He looked at the glowing text, pondering aloud. "These are monster loot drops." The young man continued to gaze at the items, a puzzled expression on his face. "But what am I supposed to use these for?" He wondered, questioning if there was a specific use for them, just like in the game. Another message appeared, stating that 3 conditions remained to unlock the skill conversation with the monarch. The screen displayed the completed conditions. Defend against monster wave and play for over 50 hours, both marked as complete. It continued, stating that upon completing the remaining 3 conditions, conversation with the monarch would be unlocked. Kim Hanul's eyes widened in surprise. Conversation with the monarch? He exclaimed, questioning why there were so many unlocked conditions. He shrugged it off, thinking, well, whatever. I've already cleared 2 of them, so I'll be able to use it soon. His gaze shifted to the screen as it announced, checking the final reward. His eyes filled with anticipation as a bright light enveloped him, signaling the arrival of something extraordinary. Kim Hanul stood before a radiant blue screen, its light casting a glow across the room. He approached it cautiously, the brilliance almost overwhelming. The young man squinted against the dazzling light, his mind racing with possibilities. He uttered, trying to comprehend the spectacle before him. This is? The room was filled with a serene stillness, broken only by the soft hum of electronics. On a nearby desk, a phone lay forgotten, its screen illuminated with a notification. The device displayed a message. 7 missed calls Yoon Soo. The urgency of the missed calls lingered in the air, a silent reminder of the world outside the glowing screen. The sun shone brightly over the towering structure of the Pungbik Guild, its glass facade reflecting the clear blue sky. Inside, a young man expressed his confusion. Sudash, I still don't get it. His companion, a woman with long brown hair, responded, Get what, brother? They stood together in the spacious lobby, surrounded by lush greenery. That guy is an Erank. So how the hell did he take down an ogre? He questioned, disbelief evident in his voice. The woman, Yoon Soo Dash, walked alongside her brother, Yoon Soo Hyuk, the vice guild leader of Pungbik Guild. He's definitely a fraud, he declared, his voice firm. He probably claimed someone else's kill as his own, she countered. You heard it too, brother. They said he went through a reawakening recently. Yoon Soo Hyuk scoffed. Humph, how can you believe that? He continued, It's not like reawakenings are a common occurrence anyway. Despite his skepticism, he admitted, Still, it didn't seem like a lie. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden realization. The entrance of the building loomed large, its glass doors reflecting the bright light of day. Inside, Yoon Soo's eyes widened in surprise, a small sweat drop forming on her cheek as she reacted to the sudden noise. Kim Hanul sprinted through the lobby, his voice echoing as he shouted, I'm sorry. His urgency was palpable, each step resonating with determination. As he approached, a woman and a tall man stood waiting. The woman called out, Hanul? Her voice carried a mix of relief and impatience. You've been waiting a long time, haven't you? She added, her tone softening slightly. Kim Hanul bowed deeply, his voice filled with regret. I'm sorry, I wasn't in a position to take calls for the past few days. His apology hung in the air, but a voice challenged him. Sorry? You think saying sorry is enough? The weight of the words pressed down on him, leaving the young man to ponder the consequences of his absence. Flames erupted around the tall man, his expression stern as he confronted Kim Hanul. After you ghosted my sister for 3 whole days? He demanded, his voice echoing with authority. The young man flinched, recognizing the figure before him. This man is? Yoon Soo Hyuk? He stammered, the realization hitting him hard. The woman with her hair tied up in a bun interjected, her voice firm. Appa, I told you to stop that, she scolded, her eyes narrowing in frustration. The man turned slightly, his expression softening. Hey, what did I even do? He muttered defensively. Kim Hanul's mind raced as he recalled the man's identity. The vice guild leader of Pungbik, and Yoon Soo's older brother, he thought, piecing together the connections. Enough, just be quiet, the man commanded, his patience wearing thin. I guess he followed his sister here, Hanul mused, understanding the situation. Yoon Soo stepped forward, her demeanor calm and reassuring. It's all right, Hanul. You already explained your situation, she said, her voice soothing. The tension in the room eased as she continued. Thank you for understanding. Yoon Soo Dash, with her long brown hair and golden eyes, addressed the group confidently. As I mentioned before, I'm here to help with the disposal of the ogre's carcass. Should we start with the payment settlement or the association report? Her demeanor was professional yet approachable. The young woman maintained her composed expression, her eyes reflecting a sense of purpose as she awaited a response. Kim Hanul, standing nearby in his white jacket, nodded thoughtfully. In that case, he began, considering the options presented to him. He continued with a slight smile, let's start with the association report. His decision seemed to bring a sense of direction to the conversation. Meanwhile, a figure with glasses adjusted them slightly, preparing to contribute to the discussion. So, the person began, ready to delve into the details. In the office, a woman with glasses addressed the group seated before her. You're saying that Hunter Kim Hanul was the one who hunted the ogre, she stated, her tone inquisitive. The MC nodded, confirming, yes, I witnessed it myself. He explained that given the situation at the time, no other hunter could have intervened. However, the woman raised a concern. But since there isn't any physical evidence, Her words trailed off as the tall man with a stern expression stood behind Kim Hanul, flames seemingly flickering around him. "Are you saying you don't believe us right now?" he challenged, his voice firm. The woman adjusted her glasses, a hint of unease in her demeanor. "No, since it's coming from the two of you from the Pungbeak Guild, I do believe you, but..." She hesitated, explaining that an ogre is a monster that ranges from C rank to as high as B rank, necessitating a formal verification process. "A verification procedure?" Kim Hanul echoed, curiosity piqued. The woman elaborated. "We need to measure your stats to see if you're actually capable of hunting monsters." Her explanation was met with thoughtful consideration from the group as they prepared for the next steps. In the center of the room stood a massive, glowing crystal, its pink hue illuminating the surroundings. The words using a manometer floated above, indicating the method for measuring power. Yoon-soo Dash, with her long brown hair and golden eyes, walked alongside Kim Hanul. Her thoughts were filled with concern. "Dear, I know Hanul has reawakened, but I haven't had a chance to check what his stats are yet." She pondered, her expression thoughtful. She turned to him, her voice carrying a hint of hesitation. "Is there perhaps another way?" she began, but he interrupted with a reassuring smile. "That's fine," he replied confidently. The MC, his eyes filled with determination, suggested, "Let's do the measurement right now." His readiness to proceed was evident, bringing a sense of resolve to the moment. The stat measurement for Hunter Kim Soo-won was complete, the massive crystal glowing with a vibrant red hue in the center of the chamber. The result was announced. A D rank. Kim Hanul stood nearby, his expression unreadable as a muscular man adjusted his headband, seemingly deep in thought. In the observation area, a group of onlookers discussed the implications. What if Hanul's stat measurement results are bad? One person wondered aloud, concerned about the potential awkwardness. Another, with a more analytical demeanor, remarked, "Actually, this is for the best. I was curious to see what kind of potential he has that piqued the constellation's interest first." A man in a long coat observed the scene, contemplating the situation. "If he has no ability, I can just ignore him from now on," he mused, watching Kim Hanul stand before the glowing crystal. The room filled with an air of anticipation. Kim Hanul stood before the massive, glowing crystal, his hand reaching out to touch its surface. The room was filled with an air of anticipation as the words "no physical enhancement potions consumed" and "no items currently equipped" floated in the air, indicating his unassisted state. The MC reflected on the mana measuring device, noting how long it had been since he last used one. His mind drifted back to 7 years ago when he first measured his mana like every other hunter. Memories of that day flooded back, a time when he was devastated by his E-rank stats. The announcement echoed in the chamber. Applicant number 208, Hunter Kim Hanul, commencing mana measurement. As the process began, the room shimmered with energy, the crystal glowing intensely. Kim Hanul stood resolute, his gaze fixed on the vibrant display, ready to face whatever the results might reveal. The crystal erupted in a dazzling display of light, colors swirling and merging in a brilliant spectacle. A tall man in a long coat walked confidently down a corridor, his expression serious. Beside him, a woman with long hair followed, her eyes wide with anticipation. The man paused, a question forming in his mind as he glanced to the side. His curiosity piqued. Below, Kim Hanul stood resolute, the crystal before him glowing intensely, casting a vibrant red hue across the chamber. The chamber was filled with a brilliant red light as the crystal pulsed with energy. The words "measurement complete" appeared, signaling the end of the process. Kim Hanul stood before the massive crystal, his hand resting gently on its surface, the glow reflecting off his figure. The analysis began to reveal itself, indicating that Kim Hanul's mana rank was about to be announced. The room seemed to hold its breath as the result was declared. It's S rank. The revelation hung in the air, a testament to his newfound potential. A young woman with silver hair and glasses looked on with excitement, her eyes wide with disbelief. Beside her, a man with sharp features and silver hair appeared tense, a bead of sweat trickling down his face. The atmosphere was electric, filled with anticipation and shock. Nearby, a man with a headband shouted in astonishment, his mouth agape, while a woman beside him covered her mouth in surprise, her eyes wide with wonder. The crowd behind them mirrored their reactions, a mix of awe and disbelief. Amidst the chaos, Kim Hanul stood calmly, a small, confident smile playing on his lips as the red light from the crystal bathed his face, highlighting his composed demeanor. The screen displayed a message, checking the final reward for Wave 701. A thought lingered in the air. The final reward. Wonder what it'll be. Suddenly, a new notification appeared. Lord's Afterimage LV.1, indicating the acquisition of a new skill. The MC sat on the floor, his eyes wide with surprise. It's a skill?" he exclaimed, astonished by the unexpected development. The details of the skill unfolded before him, explaining that Lord's Afterimage adds the stats of the strongest monster from the previous wave to his own. The time limit was set to 30 minutes per day, with a restriction that it could not be reactivated until the next day. His eyes widened further, a bead of sweat forming as he processed the information. "Wait," he murmured, trying to grasp the implications. A vision of Count Guler emerged, a formidable figure with flowing silver hair and a menacing presence. The realization struck him. I can use the stats of the strongest monster from the wave exactly as they are? The potential of this new ability began to dawn on him, opening up a world of possibilities. The status window displayed Kim Hanul's details. Age 28, male with strength at 10, agility at 6, stamina at 13, and intelligence at 5. His skills included level 1 regeneration, Lord's transaction, and Lord's afterimage. Despite his impressive abilities, he had no constellation contracted. The screen updated, showing the enhanced stats from the Lord's afterimage skill. His strength increased to 70, agility to 86, stamina to 83, and intelligence to 55. The remaining time for the skill was 24 minutes and 49 seconds. Below, the MC stood in the chamber, reflecting on his fortune. Talk about luck, he thought, getting a skill like this right when they're measuring my stats. He continued to ponder, even if it only lasts 30 minutes a day. The young man walked through the high-tech facility, his back to the viewer. While this skill is active, my stats are on par with an S rank, he mused, feeling the weight of his newfound power. The thought lingered, but to everyone else who doesn't know the truth. The scene shifted to a view of the facility, its sleek design illuminated by bright lights, as steam hissed from the machinery, adding to the atmosphere of mystery and potential. Kim Hanul stood confidently, his presence exuding the aura of a newly emerged S-rank rookie. The air around him shimmered with energy, highlighting his transformation. Nearby, Yoon Soo observed the scene with a composed expression, standing beside a tall man in a trench coat. Her eyes were focused, taking in every detail. The MC approached, a slight smile on his face. Hunter Kim Hanul, great work out there, the man in the trench coat remarked, acknowledging his efforts. Hanul nodded, replying with a simple, thank you. As the conversation continued, Hanul inquired, so, does this prove I'm the one who took down the ogre? Or is there more paperwork to deal with? The response came quickly, no, not at all. The atmosphere in the facility was charged with anticipation and relief. A man in a suit, holding a clipboard, looked flustered yet relieved. That measurement just now was all the proof we needed, he stammered, his eyes wide with excitement. We'll text you the official reevaluation results by tomorrow. Yes, sir. The scene shifted to a spacious chamber where the young woman with long brown hair stood beside a tall man in a trench coat. Things went smoothly thanks to you too. I really appreciate it, the man expressed gratefully. The MC, Kim Hanul, responded modestly, don't mention it. You're the one who did all the work, Hanul. He turned to leave, saying, well, I'll be heading out now. The woman acknowledged him with a simple, right? As he walked away, the facility's lights cast a glow on his back. A voice called out, Kim Hanul, stopping him in his tracks. The tall man in the trench coat suggested, let's grab a coffee sometime. He continued, I'm offering this as the vice guild leader of Pungbeek. The spacious corridor was filled with onlookers, whispering among themselves. Wait, is Pungbeek trying to scout him? One person exclaimed. Another added, the vice guild leader is scouting him personally? The presence of Yoon Soo, beside Kim Hanul, only added to the intrigue. With a confident smile, the MC replied, no thanks, I'll pass on the coffee. A young woman with long brown hair, her eyes wide with surprise, clutched her chest as she exclaimed, if it's about the Pungbeek Guild, I'll just contact Yoon Soo directly. Kim Hanul walked confidently through the bustling facility, his presence drawing the attention of onlookers. The sleek, futuristic design of the room was filled with people whispering and pointing as he passed by. A man with a sharp gaze, dressed in a trench coat, watched the scene unfold. His expression was one of confusion as he muttered, who is that guy? The buzz around Kim Hanul's appearance had already spread online. A popular forum displayed a post titled, Today's S-Rank Hunter in the Measurement Room, with comments marveling at the emergence of the unknown rookie. Kim Hanul sat comfortably in front of his computer, a slight smirk on his face as he mused. To think I'd become this famous overnight. The broadcast had just started, and the live chat was already buzzing with activity. A notification from the Hunter Association appeared on his screen, informing him of his promotion from E rank to B rank. He read it aloud. B rank? I wanted to jump straight to S rank, but... He sighed, acknowledging the association's rule that only allowed a jump of 3 ranks at a time. Leaning back in his chair, he remarked, it's a shame, but nothing I can do about it. The chat continued to scroll with comments, one catching his eye. Yo, trash game bro. The live chat was filled with familiar usernames, discussing the news of a new S rank appearing in Korea. Relaxed and confident, he greeted them, hey guys, what's up? He confirmed, yeah, I saw that article too, as he floated in a digital space, enjoying the moment. 2 young men stood in a digital space, their faces lit up with excitement. "Isn't it insane?" one exclaimed, his eyes wide. "I heard Yoon Soo-hyuk from Pungbik Guild scouted him personally." The other, equally animated, responded, "Wait, for real?" In a dimly lit area, a figure with short black hair stood silhouetted against a starry backdrop. "I'm telling you, Yoon Soo was there with him too," a voice insisted. Another voice speculated, "Wow, so he's definitely joining Pungbik then?" The figure remained still as the conversation continued. "Actually, no. Yoon Soo-hyuk asked him to join, but he turned them down." "Seriously?" came the surprised reply. Kim Hanul, seated in front of a glowing screen, mused to himself, "Those guys probably have no idea they're talking about me right now." He turned to address his audience. "Guys, since we're on the topic of hunters," his voice carried enthusiasm as he announced, "I've prepared some new content for today." The chat buzzed with curiosity. New content? What is it? What is it? Standing confidently in the digital realm, Kim Hanul spread his arms wide. "What I have for you today is hunter-related content," he declared. The audience, a mix of familiar faces, watched eagerly. "Classic trash game, bro," one commented with a chuckle. Another asked, "So, what are we doing?" The anticipation in the air was palpable as the scene unfolded. Kim Hanul stood amidst a digital landscape, contemplating his next move. "Well, that is, I'm going to," he began as holographic figures appeared around him, each with their own titles like "Below is the Strongest" and "Monster Blocking Hunter." With a confident grin, he extended his hand, inviting his audience to take your recommendations for a dungeon to clear. The digital space around him shimmered with anticipation. A muscular figure with a glowing visor questioned, "A dungeon? You're gonna stream the whole raid?" The words "Baldies are OP" floated above him, adding a humorous touch to the scene. The reality of the situation set in as the rules were laid out. "Right? Hunters have a confidentiality agreement," the text declared, emphasizing that streaming or recording is a direct violation of hunter law. A gavel marked "illegal AF" underscored the seriousness. Kim Hanul concluded, "Yeah, so instead, I'll just post the clear certificate once I'm done. And I'll share whatever stories I can without breaking the rules." Kim Hanul stood confidently in the digital realm, surrounded by a vibrant group of avatars. The excitement was palpable as voices chimed in, "Hell yeah, trash game bro," and "Whoa, this content is gonna be fire." The digital crowd buzzed with anticipation, eager for the adventure to unfold. A figure with a glowing visor pointed enthusiastically, suggesting, "In that case, it's gotta be the Mad Dragon's Nest, right?" The fiery image of a dragon loomed behind him, adding to the thrill of the moment. A notification appeared. "Trash Game Bros Sayseeing Fan donated 50,000 won." Another voice interrupted, "Forget that. Go to the giant's kitchen." The scene shifted to a massive, horned creature standing amidst a grand, fiery backdrop. The young woman with purple hair laughed gleefully, her excitement mirrored by the digital display. A muscular figure with a bald head and a confident grin proposed a daring challenge. "Go to the spider's forest and rip off one of the queen's legs." "Deal." The image of a menacing spider loomed, its web glistening ominously. Above, a message read, "Baldies are OP donated 1 million won." The muscular figure with the glowing visor protested, "Hey, you can't just cut in line with 1,000,001 like that." The young woman with purple hair, standing beside him, retorted, "Then you donate too. Simple as that." Kim Hanul, with a nervous smile, raised his hands in a calming gesture, saying, "Guys, everyone just calm down for a second." Suddenly, a notification sound caught his attention. He turned, eyes wide with surprise, as he uttered, "Question mark." Fireworks exploded across the screen, and a message appeared. Viewer 1 donated 10 million won. His eyes widened further in shock as he exclaimed, "T10 million won?" The digital crowd erupted in disbelief. A young man with a shocked expression exclaimed, "Did he just drop 10 million? Beside him, a woman with vibrant purple hair added, "I thought that guy was a bot." Meanwhile, a bald figure with a beard commented, "Damn, old man's loaded." In the digital realm, a mysterious figure cloaked in shadows appeared. "I don't know how to add a message to the donation. My apologies," the figure stated, their presence enigmatic and commanding. Kim Hanul, standing amidst the digital chaos, pondered aloud, "Where the hell is he trying to send me for 10 million won?" His mind raced with possibilities. "Right, Viewer 1, which dungeon are you recommending?" he asked, seeking clarity. The cloaked figure, shrouded in mystery, began to respond. "The dungeon I recommend is..." Leaving the anticipation hanging in the air, the mysterious figure, cloaked in shadows, pointed towards the sky where petals floated gently. "The deepest part of the Garden of Meditation," the figure declared, their voice echoing with an enigmatic allure. The digital crowd reacted with disbelief. "The deepest part? Is this guy insane?" A voice questioned, filled with incredulity. "No one's ever cleared that place," another added. as the muscular figure and the young woman with purple hair looked on with concern. Bro, you're not actually gonna do it, right? Someone urged, their voice tinged with worry. Kim Han-ul, with a thoughtful expression, considered the challenge. The Garden of Meditation, he mused, recalling the structure of the dungeon. That dungeon has 3 sectors, right? The entrance, the lake, and the deepest part. His mind raced as he visualized the map. The entrance is a safe enough hunting ground, but, he pondered, I heard the lake in the center is on a whole different level of danger. The map of the dungeon floated before him, highlighting the treacherous path that lay ahead. Kim Han-ul sat in contemplation, surrounded by a digital grid. And nobody's even tried the deepest part yet, have they? He wondered aloud, his mind racing with the implications. As he pondered, he recalled, as far as I know, the record stops at the lake. And the one who cleared it was. The scene shifted to a bustling crowd of reporters, cameras flashing as a confident figure emerged. Yoon Soo-hyuk, the name echoed, carrying a weight of its own. Back in his thoughts, Kim Han-ul reflected on the challenge. Even he said the center was his limit. He mused, feeling the pressure of expectations. And now they want me to take on the deepest part? He questioned, a mix of disbelief and determination in his eyes. Give me a break, that's impossible, he concluded, the enormity of the task settling in. The cloaked figure addressed the crowd. You don't actually have to clear the dungeon. The digital avatars of various onlookers, each with their own unique titles, hovered in the virtual space, listening intently. I'll consider the mission a success if you just reach the deepest part. The figure continued, their words hanging in the air. Kim Han-ul, suspended in the digital realm, reacted with surprise. What? I don't have to clear it? He questioned, his mind racing with the implications of this new information. The young man, still processing the revelation, was reassured by the cloaked figure. Yes, and if you actually try to clear it. The figure promised, I promise to give you all the support you need. Determination flickered in his eyes as he considered the offer. A voice of concern broke through the digital chatter. Hyung, this is going too far, someone exclaimed, echoing the worries of the crowd. She's right. Even the center sector is a death trap. Another voice added, emphasizing the danger. The digital avatars, each with their own concerns, urged caution. Screw the content. If you die, it's over, a muscular figure declared, his words resonating with urgency. Kim Han-ul considered the danger ahead. It's definitely dangerous, he thought, acknowledging the risks. But a new thought emerged. If I don't have to clear it. His mind raced with possibilities. Maybe I can manage just getting to the deepest part and back. He concluded, determination setting in. Besides, he reasoned, Viewer 1. If someone with that kind of mysterious power is willing to help, then we might actually have a shot. His eyes reflected a glimmer of hope. He sighed, contemplating the challenge. The deepest part of the Garden of Meditation. He murmured, the weight of the task heavy on his shoulders. With renewed resolve, he clenched his fist and declared, Let's do this. Ready to face whatever lay ahead. The towering structure of the Hunter Bureau gleamed under the bright sun, its windows reflecting the clear blue sky. Inside, a voice echoed, The Garden of Contemplation, you say? Seated at a desk, a woman with short brown hair and glasses looked up from her computer. Understood. Will you be applying for a solo expedition? Then, she inquired, her tone professional. Across from her, Kim Han-ul sat confidently, his gaze steady. Yes, a solo expedition to the depths. Please, he confirmed, his determination unwavering. The woman adjusted her glasses, a hint of surprise in her expression. The deepest part? She repeated, the question hanging in the air. She leaned forward slightly, concern evident in her voice. It's gonna be dangerous going in alone, you know? She warned, her fingers poised over the keyboard. Kim Han-ul, unfazed, offered a reassuring smile. I'll be fine. Just process the request. He insisted, his resolve clear. The woman with short brown hair and glasses nodded, acknowledging the request. Understood. Then, a week from now. She began, her fingers poised over the keyboard. Kim Han-ul, seated across from her, leaned forward slightly. Do you happen to have any earlier dates? He inquired, his tone casual. It's a solo expedition, so I can leave anytime. She considered his request, adjusting her glasses thoughtfully. How about tomorrow? A slot just opened up, she suggested, meeting his gaze. Yeah, that works, he replied, a satisfied smile on his face. Got it. I'll put you down for 4 p.m. tomorrow, she confirmed, typing swiftly. He stood up, ready to leave. Thanks. See you then, he said, nodding in appreciation as he turned to exit. The sound of sturdy boots echoed as they stepped confidently through the doorway, marking the beginning of a new journey. Kim Han-ul emerged into the bright sunlight, his coat billowing slightly in the breeze. His expression was calm and focused, ready for the challenge ahead. As he walked across the plaza, a voice called out, catching his attention. You're Hunter Kim Han-ul, right? Someone inquired, prompting him to glance over his shoulder. He turned to see a group of individuals approaching, their intentions unclear. "Got a minute to talk?" one of them asked, their tone suggesting urgency. A cheerful voice greeted Kim Han-ul. "Greetings, Hunter." The speaker, a man with light brown hair, introduced himself as Pyo Myung-hoon, the HR team leader of the Aegis Guild. Beside him, a woman with long blue hair smiled warmly. "I am Jung So-won, the HR team leader of the Senare Guild," she added, both of them standing confidently before him. Kim Han-ul glanced at the business cards they handed him, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. "HR team?" he mused, recalling the S-rank evaluation he had received 2 days prior. The two HR leaders continued their pitch, the man gesturing enthusiastically. "Our Senare Guild is always waiting for someone like you, Hunter," he declared. The woman nodded in agreement, adding, "The same goes for the Aegis Guild." Their eagerness was palpable, each hoping to recruit him. As he considered their offers, Kim Han-ul reflected on the significance of these guilds. Senare and Aegis. They're both part of Korea's big 3 guilds, aren't they? He thought, recognizing the prestigious emblems of the Senare, Aegis, and Pungbi guilds displayed before him. Kim Han-ul faced the 2 HR leaders, their expressions eager. The man with light brown hair spoke confidently. "Hunter Han-ul, we will offer you much better terms than whatever the Pungbi guild proposed." The woman beside him nodded in agreement, her blue hair catching the sunlight. The young man considered their offer, his expression thoughtful. "I appreciate the offer, but..." he began, pausing to gather his thoughts. "I have something I need to take care of first. Let's talk another time." His tone was polite yet firm, indicating his decision. As he turned to leave, the man called out, "Hunter, about the down payment." His voice trailed off as Kim Han-ul continued walking, his mind set on his priorities. Reflecting on the situation, he thought to himself, "Joining a guild right now won't do me any good. If anything, they'll just hold me back." His determination was clear as he concluded. The priority right now is... His focus was unwavering, ready to pursue his own path. A voice on the phone inquired, "The Garden of Meditation?" The speaker's curiosity was evident as he held the phone close. Sitting in a sunlit office, a man identified as Vice Guild leader Yoon Soo-hyuk responded, "Of course I remember it. Why are you asking about that place?" His attention was divided between the call and a tablet in his hand. Meanwhile, Kim Han-ul, walking through a bustling station, declared, "I'm planning to go into the deepest part of the Water Heart Garden." His determination was clear, though the voice on the other end expressed surprise. "What? The deepest part? Do you even realize I barely managed to clear the center?" The young man, unfazed, replied confidently, "I'm well aware. That's why I'm contacting you. I was hoping to get some information." His expression was calm, yet focused, as he sought the knowledge he needed. A man with sharp features and light hair sat in a sunlit office, holding a phone to his ear. "Information?" he questioned, his tone skeptical. "And why exactly should I tell you anything?" Kim Han-ul, standing amidst a bustling crowd, responded confidently, "Because I have a way to clear the entire Garden of Meditation." His determination was evident as he continued walking. The man on the other end of the line, now in a library setting, seemed taken aback. "Are you serious about that?" he asked, a hint of disbelief in his voice. Kim Han-ul, unfazed, replied with assurance, "Yes, of course. If I succeed in clearing it, I'll tell the press that I succeeded with the help of the Pungbi Guild." He smiled slightly, adding, "How about it? Do you feel like sharing the information now?" Sitting in a sunlit office, a man with light hair pondered aloud. "It seems you really do have something up your sleeve." He leaned back in his chair, holding a tablet, and continued, "So, is it really possible for you to clear it by yourself?" Kim Han-ul, with a confident smile, replied into his phone, "Of course." His assurance was unwavering. The man in the office, now standing, responded, "Fine. In that case," he paused, considering his next words, "let me make a proposal as well. First, join our guild and..." Before he could finish, Kim Han-ul interjected, "I'll have to decline the guild contract." The man, slightly taken aback, listened as the young man continued, "Right now, our guild is the only one showing interest in you." His voice trailed off, realizing the determination in Kim Han-ul's decision. This morning, 2 individuals approached Kim Han-ul, handing him their business cards. They introduced themselves as Ms. Jung So-won from the Senare Guild and Mr. Pyo Myung-hoon from the Aegis Guild. The young man, holding the cards, listened intently. A voice on the phone questioned, "They came to see you in person?" The speaker's expression was one of surprise, his eyes wide with disbelief. In a shadowy, mystical setting, 2 figures stood, their forms obscured by darkness. A voice echoed, "Damn it, those 2 must have caught the scent eventually. Still, how dare they try to snatch away a prize we've already claimed?" Kim Han-ul, standing in a bright, bustling area, continued his conversation. "In that sense, my proposal should sound even more tempting now," he said confidently. since it's a chance to stake your claim on a talent your rivals are already eyeing. In a sunlit office, a man with light hair leaned back in his chair, exhaling deeply. I have no choice then, he conceded, his voice resigned. He continued, let me make one thing clear. I don't know anything about the deepest part, and the dungeon's interior might have changed over the past year. His tone was cautious as he added, if you're fine with that, I'll tell you what I know. Kim Han-ul, with a confident smile, responded into his phone. If that's the case, his voice steady and assured. Outside, a mystical tower loomed amidst swirling clouds and lightning. It's more than enough, he concluded, his determination unwavering. In front of a towering structure, a group of individuals stood gathered, their attention focused on the scene before them. A voice called out, you're all gathered already. A man with short black hair and a confident demeanor approached, noting, looks like I'm the last one to arrive. His eyes were obscured by a pair of glowing glasses, labeled as beholder's glasses. As he joined the group, a bald man with a stern expression turned to him, asking, is he the guy who said he'd come alone today? The question hung in the air, drawing the attention of those nearby. The bald man stepped forward, extending a hand in greeting. Nice to meet you. I'm Cho Kwang-soo of the Bulgul Guild. He introduced himself, his voice carrying a tone of authority and welcome. Kim Han-ul extended his hand with a confident smile. Nice to meet you. I'm Kim Han-ul. He introduced himself, his voice steady. The bald man, Cho Kwang-soo, acknowledged him with a nod. I know, he replied, his tone firm. Cho Kwang-soo's eyes narrowed slightly as he continued. You're the kid who just got an S rank on the mana measurement, right? The young man nodded, a hint of pride in his expression. Yeah, well, word travels fast, he admitted, his voice carrying a touch of humility. Cho Kwang-soo's gaze was intense, his brow furrowed. Man, must be nice being an S rank, he remarked, a hint of envy in his voice. Some of us had to wait a whole month to coordinate our schedules and fill the roster. Kim Han-ul listened, his expression thoughtful. Yet here you are, waltzing into the same gate just by applying solo. Cho Kwang-soo continued, his tone a mix of admiration and challenge. Anyway, once we're inside, you're on your own, he concluded, setting the terms clearly. A group of individuals stood together, their attention focused on the conversation. Cho Kwang-soo, with his usual stern expression, addressed Kim Han-ul. Unlike you, our guild has a specific mission to carry out, he stated, his voice firm. The bald man continued, his tone unwavering. So don't even think about asking us for help, he warned, his eyes narrowing as he shook hands with the young man. Kim Han-ul, maintaining his confident demeanor, responded with a slight smile. Sure, let's do that, he agreed, his voice calm and assured. As the conversation continued, Cho Kwang-soo added with a hint of disdain. Humph, and for your information, being an S rank on the manometer is no big deal. Measured ranks mean absolutely nothing in a real fight. His words hung in the air, challenging the young man's earlier pride. Kim Han-ul stood under the clear blue sky, reflecting on the situation. They're being pricklier than I expected, he thought, acknowledging the tension. His gaze was steady as he considered his position. Well, I suppose from their perspective I'm an eyesore, he mused, understanding the group's unease. The young man observed the gathering of individuals, noting, I was lucky enough to get in right away, but normally, you have to meet the minimum party size and book a month in advance to enter a dungeon. The group, led by Cho Kwang-soo, stood ready, their expressions a mix of anticipation and impatience. Adjusting his glasses, Kim Han-ul continued his internal monologue. They've probably been waiting for a month, so it's natural they'd be sensitive about me suddenly tagging along, he reasoned, acknowledging the group's perspective. With a determined look, he activated his ability. Anyway, let's see, he thought as the sage's eye came to life, revealing the ranks of those around him. Each member of the group was marked as C rank, a detail that did not escape his notice. Kim Han-ul, with a confident smirk, considered his surroundings. Fortunately, it doesn't look like anyone here is capable of following me into the deepest part, he thought, his mind calculating the possibilities. The young man adjusted his glasses, feeling assured. It would only get complicated if there were prying eyes, he mused, satisfied with the situation. Cho Kwang-soo, observing the scene, seemed puzzled. And after all that bluffing too, he thought, questioning the young man's true abilities. Is he actually just a C rank? I guess I won't be running into him inside, he concluded, dismissing the potential threat. The bald man turned, noticing Kim Han-ul's expression. Hey, what's with that creepy smirk back there? He demanded, his voice tinged with suspicion. The young man, maintaining his composure, replied casually, Sorry, I just thought of something funny. Cho Kwang-soo's companions, standing behind him, reacted defensively. What, are you mocking us? One of them shouted, his voice rising in anger. Another, gesturing towards the bald man, accused. You were laughing at how my boss went bald from working so hard, weren't you? The tension escalated as one of the men asked, "Boss, should I teach him a lesson?" A voice cut through the tension, declaring, all right, that's enough chatter." Hands came together, crackling with energy, as a spell was prepared. The air shimmered with power as the speaker announced, "It's time. So we're opening the gate now." The group, including Kim Hanul and Cho Kwang-soo, stood ready, anticipation in their eyes. The portal blazed with light, and the urgency was clear. "We can't keep the gate open for long, so please head inside as quickly as possible," urged the voice, the energy swirling around them. With determination, the group moved forward. "Let's move out, everyone," came the command, as they stepped into the glowing gateway, ready to face whatever awaited them. Kim Hanul, stepping forward with determination, thought to himself, "This is my first time actually entering a dungeon." The air crackled with energy as he approached the glowing portal. As he moved closer, the young man felt the electric charge intensify around him, the vibrant green light enveloping his form. He took a deep breath, feeling the energy pulse through him, and then stepped through the gateway. Inside, a voice echoed, "You've arrived, Hanul." Before him lay a vast, mystical landscape known as the Garden of Contemplation, its entrance marked by a grand, ethereal throne. The challenge ahead was clear, a condition-based clear, limited to 20 people. Kim Hanul stood ready, prepared to face whatever trials awaited. A voice resonated through the cosmic expanse, wishing them the best of luck. A hand, shimmering with ethereal energy, snapped its fingers, setting the events in motion. The atmosphere shifted as the structure of the Garden of Meditation began to transform at the behest of the monarch's castle. The air crackled with power, signaling the change. The group, led by Cho Kwang-soo, advanced through the vibrant green energy swirling around them. Kim Hanul followed closely, determination etched on his face as they moved deeper into the mystical realm. Cho Kwang-soo paused, a puzzled expression crossing his features. He glanced around the altered landscape, sensing something amiss. He muttered, realizing that something was not right. Kim Hanul's eyes widened in shock as he took in the breathtaking sight before him. This place?" he exclaimed, his voice filled with awe. Below, a vast, shimmering lake surrounded a towering, ethereal tree, its branches reaching towards the sky. The group stood at the edge, their figures small against the majestic landscape. Cho Kwang-soo's expression turned to one of confusion. "This isn't the main entrance?" he questioned, his voice echoing the uncertainty that hung in the air. The forest around them seemed unfamiliar, the path they had expected nowhere in sight. A muscular man beside him hesitated, glancing around nervously. "B-boss, was there always a lake like this near the main entrance?" he asked, his voice tinged with doubt. Cho Kwang-soo shook his head slowly, his gaze fixed on the mysterious scene. "No, something's wrong," he replied, his tone grave. Another member of the group, a young man with a bow slung over his shoulder, spoke up. "The entrance I saw before wasn't laid out like this," he said, his brow furrowed in concentration. A woman with blue hair nodded in agreement, her eyes scanning the surroundings. "I remember it being different too. Then where on earth are we?" she wondered aloud, the question hanging heavily in the air. Kim Hanul stood amidst the barren trees, a puzzled expression on his face. "This is strange," he murmured, glancing around the unfamiliar surroundings. Recalling the instructions, he thought about how the entrance was supposed to be straightforward, involving hunting pig mallets in open fields. Yet, this was nothing like what Yoon Soo-hyuk had described. "Wait, don't tell me this isn't the entrance." But he pondered, his mind racing with possibilities. Suddenly, a digital message appeared, welcoming them to the lake of the Garden of Meditation and providing a mission briefing. The group, including Cho Kwang-soo, stood at the edge of the shimmering water, astonished. "Wait, what was that? This is the lake?" someone exclaimed, disbelief evident in their voice. As they processed the information, another message flashed, stating that too many pig mallets had been slaughtered, causing them to stop moving. How the hell did this happen? Kim Hanul wondered aloud, confusion and concern mingling in his thoughts. The forest floor was littered with the bodies of pig mallets, their forms still and lifeless. A sense of dread hung in the air as the word massacre echoed ominously. A digital message appeared, instructing them to protect the pig mallets from the slayers until nightfall. The group, including Cho Kwang-soo, stood tense, absorbing the gravity of the task. Success would grant them passage through the lake and entry to the deepest part of the dungeon. The message continued, warning that failure would result in all challengers perishing. The stakes were high, and the tension was palpable. Cho Kwang-soo's eyes widened in panic as he exclaimed, "We're going to die." The fear was mirrored in the faces of those around him, the reality of their situation sinking in. Kim Hanul looked down, frustration etched on his face. "How can they just spring this on us out of nowhere?" he exclaimed, his voice filled with disbelief. The group stood together, tension palpable in the air. "Kwang-soo, let's just give up," someone urged, desperation in their tone. It's still early, so we can forfeit and get out of here, another added, hoping for a quick escape. Cho Kwang-soo stood at the forefront, his expression conflicted. He's right. Open your status window and forfeit right now. The plea continued, echoing the group's growing anxiety. Cho Kwang-soo hesitated, his hand hovering over the digital interface. I can't, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. A companion beside him reacted with disbelief. Come on! Panic surged through Cho Kwang-soo as he continued to struggle with the interface. I've been trying to leave for a while now, but it won't let me, he shouted, his voice rising in frustration. The status window isn't responding at all. The realization hit the group hard, the weight of their predicament settling in. The digital display showed the current pigmallets remaining. 130. A message followed, revealing that 2 pigmallets had perished at the hands of the slayer. Kim Hanul stood amidst the trees, his expression resolute as he processed the information. Nearby, a young woman with blue hair and wide eyes looked on, her face a mix of shock and determination. The ominous red glow of the display updated, indicating the current pigmallets remaining. 128. The tension in the air was palpable as the group realized the urgency of their mission. The ominous red glow of the display updated, indicating the current pigmallets remaining. 130. The group stood amidst the trees, their expressions tense as the message revealed that the slayer had already claimed 2 pigmallets, leaving 128 remaining. Cho Kwang-soo's face was a mask of frustration and confusion. Damn it! What the hell is going on? He exclaimed, his voice filled with desperation. He turned to a nearby figure, his voice urgent. Hey you, do you have any idea what's happening? Or anything about this lake? His plea hung in the air, seeking answers in the midst of chaos. A young man with a confident demeanor stood amidst the eerie forest, his voice calm as he admitted, Well, I'm not sure why this is happening either. Cho Kwang-soo, his expression shifting from confusion to a hint of understanding, responded, But I do know about the lake. Relief washed over the group as they faced him, one of them exclaiming, Thank God! Can you fill us in? Their desperation was clear as they offered. We'll help you with whatever you need in return. The young man, a slight smile playing on his lips, mused. And here I thought we were all supposed to mind our own business. He paused, then added with a hint of seriousness, I have one condition. The group stood by the shimmering lake, listening intently as Kim Hanul addressed them. I'll share what I know, but you follow my orders until we clear this place. Deal? His voice carried authority, and the others exchanged glances, weighing the proposition. Kim Hanul's gaze was steady, his expression unwavering as he continued. Agree to that, and I'll tell you everything. Can you do that? The tension in the air was palpable, each member of the group considering the weight of his words. Cho Kwang-soo, his brow furrowed, exchanged a look with a muscular companion beside him. Wait, you're asking us to hand over full command of the guild? He began, his voice tinged with disbelief. The enormity of the request hung between them, challenging their resolve. Suddenly, a piercing alert interrupted the moment, the ominous red glow of the display updating once more. The message was stark. The slayer has roasted 4 pigmallets. Remaining pigmallets. 124. The group turned their attention back to Kim Hanul, the urgency of their situation underscored by the relentless countdown. Cho Kwang-soo stood amidst the trees, his expression tense as he finally relented. Damn it, fine. The decision weighed heavily on him, but the urgency of the situation left little room for hesitation. Turning to Kim Hanul, he added with a hint of defiance. But if this goes south, you're taking the fall. The young man in the white jacket responded calmly. That's a bit unfair. I clearly gave you a choice. His demeanor remained composed, unfazed by the tension. Kim Hanul continued, his voice steady. The responsibility for that choice lies with. His words hung in the air, the forest around them silent and watchful. Cho Kwang-soo, his resolve firming, asked, Fine. What's the plan? His eyes were focused, ready to follow through with the decision he had made. The sunlight danced across the shimmering surface of the lake, casting a mesmerizing glow. A voice broke the tranquility. First, let me walk you through the terrain. A stick traced lines in the dirt, creating a rough map. Kim Hanul, crouched on the ground, pointed at the diagram. This is the map of the lake sector, he explained to the gathered group who watched intently. There's a massive lake in the center, he continued, indicating the central circle. Streams from all over the forest web together and feed directly into that lake. The group stood in a tense circle, eyes fixed on Kim Hanul. A voice broke the silence, demanding, How the hell do you know all this? The young man in the white jacket, seated calmly, replied, I have a scouting skill. It lets me generate a map of the surroundings. Cho Kwang-soo, his expression a mix of disbelief and curiosity, pondered aloud. He has a skill like that? The realization dawned on him. Incredible. With that, we'd never get lost in a dungeon. Kim Hanul, a slight smile playing on his lips, added. The layout matches the intel Yoon Soo-hyuk gave us. Well, it's not actually a skill. A mysterious figure, cloaked in shadows and surrounded by a dazzling array of lights, seemed to materialize from the ether, adding an enigmatic layer to the unfolding events. Kim Hanul knelt on the ground, a holographic map glowing above him. The display read, "Accessing the Garden of Meditation map, provided by the Lord's Castle of Illusions." He traced the lines with a stick, confident in their plan. "We've got the map from the castle, so we're set," he declared, his voice steady. The mission was clear. "Our mission is simple. Save the pigmallets from the Slayer. That means we find the pigmallets first." The urgency of the task was palpable as the group focused on the objective. The wetlands stretched out before them, marked by glowing zones. They live in wetlands, so based on their habits, these 8 zones are their likely nesting grounds, he explained, pointing to the map. "So, from now on," the young man sprinted through the forest, clutching a pig mallet tightly. Behind him, a shadowy figure loomed, its red eyes glowing ominously. "We beat the Slayer to them," he thought, determination driving him forward. Kim Hanul leaned over, catching his breath by the lake's edge, and herd them into one spot where they're easier to protect, he stated, outlining the plan with determination. A notification flashed ominously. "The Slayer has turned 3 pig mallets into jerky. Remaining pig mallets, 121. The young man, unfazed, commanded, "If you understand, move out." Cho Kwang-soo, urgency in his voice, exclaimed, "They're dying while we're standing here." His intense gaze swept over the group, urging them into action. The team sprang into motion, each member knowing their role. "West to south. Follow the watch rotation," a voice directed. The group moved swiftly, their resolve unshaken, as they raced to protect the remaining pig mallets. Cho Kwang-soo stood amidst the towering trees, sweat glistening on his brow, as he surveyed the surroundings with a determined gaze. Turning to the young man in the white jacket, he asked, "And what are you going to do?" The youth, without hesitation, replied, "I'm gonna go look for the pig mallets on my own." Cho Kwang-soo watched him walk away, muttering under his breath, "Arrogant brat," before conceding, "Fine, see you later then." As the bald man sprinted off into the forest, Kim Hanul, now alone, exhaled deeply. "Phew, finally alone," he thought, readying himself. Time to scout the area. The Lord's Castle of Illusions has provided hidden info on the Garden of Meditation's lake. A hidden mission exists. Find the mission and claim your reward. Kim Hanul stood by the lake, the message hovering before him. "I need to figure out that hidden mission," he thought, determination etched on his face. The young man adjusted his sleeves, preparing himself. "Let's get started," he resolved, his eyes focused and ready for the task ahead. As he walked through the forest, his footsteps light on the ground, he contemplated. "There are 2 things I need to figure out while scouting." Kim Hanul stood amidst swirling shadows, contemplating his objectives. First, the hidden mission, and second, he thought, as a menacing figure wielding a scythe loomed above him, its presence shrouded in darkness. The young man focused intently, determined to uncover the identity of the killers slaughtering the pig mallets. His eyes narrowed as he realized, it seems like there are other monsters here besides the pig mallets. The thought of these unknown threats stirred his curiosity and concern. Just what kind of bastards? He wondered, his gaze sharp and calculating. Suddenly, his attention was drawn to a group of creatures moving through the forest. He turned, eyes widening in surprise as he spotted a pack of formidable beings. Oh, the realization hit him hard. Before him stood a group of lizard men, their presence unexpected and alarming. "What the?" he exclaimed, taken aback by this new development. Kim Hanul's eyes widened in disbelief as he whispered to himself. Lizardmen, the creatures stood before him, their muscular forms casting long shadows in the forest. The realization dawned on him. Then the slaughterers killing the pig mallets. His mind raced with the implications of this discovery. Hidden behind a tree, the young man peered cautiously, his thoughts swirling. "Are those bastards?" he questioned, his expression a mix of shock and determination. As he observed the pack, he noted, things just got complicated. The lizardmen, though only D-rank, posed a significant threat in such numbers. For now, I should avoid combat, he decided, though a rebellious thought crossed his mind. Why the hell should I listen to that guy? 2 figures walked through the forest, one of them speaking with a dismissive tone. "I'm not busting my ass over orders from some nobody. LOL, he said, his companion nodding in agreement. Kim Hanul, hidden nearby, watched them with growing concern. Damn it! Why are they coming this way? He thought, his mind racing with the implications of their presence. The pair continued their conversation, one of them expressing a casual attitude. "I thought I could just kill time here and leave," he remarked, seemingly unconcerned about the situation. Suddenly, a violent scene unfolded as a lizard man launched an attack, its blade slicing through the air with deadly precision. The unexpected assault left the two figures momentarily stunned, the forest echoing with the sound of the strike. The lizard man charged forward, its eyes gleaming with a fierce determination. Its powerful form cut through the air, moving with a speed that belied its size. As it advanced, the creature's muscles rippled beneath its scaly skin, each movement precise and deadly. The air around it seemed to shimmer with the force of its momentum. With a mighty leap, the lizard man descended upon its target, the ground shaking beneath its landing. The impact sent debris flying, and a figure lay motionless beneath its shadow, the scene painted with chaos and violence. Nearby, another figure stood poised, energy crackling around them as they prepared to counter the attack. The tension in the air was palpable, a silent promise of the battle to come. The lizard man stood tall, its muscular form radiating a menacing aura. Red energy crackled around it, highlighting its fierce determination. A man with a headband, his face contorted in shock, exclaimed, "Lizard man?" Sweat dripped down his face as he processed the unexpected encounter. Anger surged through him as he shouted, "F***CK, you're just a measly D-rank monster. How dare you?" Charging forward, his fist crackled with energy, ready to strike. The man's punch connected with explosive force, sending shockwaves through the air. The impact was intense, a testament to his raw power and determination. A whirlwind of energy erupted, sending debris flying in all directions. The force of the impact was immense, creating a chaotic scene of destruction. Amidst the chaos, a figure with a headband charged forward, his face twisted in rage. "You're dead!" he shouted, his voice filled with fury as he unleashed a powerful attack. The lizard man stood tall, its form crackling with red energy. The creature's presence was intimidating, its eyes glowing with a fierce intensity. A text appeared, "Lizardmen receive a swarm bonus," highlighting the threat they posed. The man with the headband looked on in shock, sweat dripping down his face. He exclaimed, his expression a mix of disbelief and fear as he processed the overwhelming power before him. The lizard men, their forms towering and menacing, surged with newfound power. Red energy crackled around them, signifying their transformation from D-class to B-class. One of the creatures lunged forward, its claws tearing through the air with brutal force. Blood sprayed as it struck, the victim's face contorted in agony. A fierce battle cry echoed as another lizard man swung its weapon with deadly precision, the air filled with the sound of clashing forces. The ground trembled as a powerful blow landed, sending debris flying. A figure lay on the ground, eyes closed in pain, while the lizard man loomed above, its eyes glowing with fierce intensity. Kim Hanul stood firm, his eyes hidden beneath his fringe, as a massive blade descended with a brilliant blue aura. The energy crackled around him, illuminating the scene with an intense glow. The force of the attack was palpable, yet he remained undeterred, his stance unwavering against the onslaught. The creature known as Gono emerged, its form enveloped in the same blue energy. Its eyes gleamed with a menacing light, a smirk playing across its lips. The text declared, "Gono has been summoned," marking the arrival of a formidable new presence in the battle. A surge of blue energy erupted, scattering debris as the lizard men were caught in its powerful wave. The force was overwhelming, sending them reeling backward. Amidst the chaos, a towering figure emerged, its form enveloped in a brilliant blue aura. The creature's eyes glowed with an eerie light, its presence commanding and formidable. A man with a headband looked on in shock, sweat trickling down his face. "A goblin?" he stammered, disbelief etched across his features. Where the hell did he come from? Nearby, Kim Hanul approached with a calm demeanor. "I'm pretty sure I gave you a designated area to stay in," he remarked, his voice steady. The injured man on the ground stammered, "Why it's a misunderstanding. I just took a wrong turn." Kim Hanul adjusted his jacket, a calm expression on his face. "Whatever, I wasn't expecting much anyway," he remarked, his tone dismissive. He instructed the injured man, "Get back and treat your wounds." The scene shifted to a group of lizard men, their forms poised for battle. "I'll handle things here," he declared confidently. The injured man, grateful for the reprieve, whispered, "Hey, thank you." As the man retreated swiftly into the forest, Kim Hanul's voice carried after him, "We're low on time, Gono." Standing beside a small goblin, he brushed his hair back, a determined look in his eyes. "Let's wrap this up quickly. We've got a quest to do," he said, the goblin responding with a spirited kiruk. The massive lizard men roared, their eyes glowing fiercely as they prepared to attack. The air was thick with tension, and the ground shook beneath their powerful strides. Kim Hanul stood amidst the chaos, his expression calm and determined. "Wipe them all out," he commanded, his voice steady. The small goblin beside him responded with a spirited kiruk, as a surge of energy erupted around them. The scene shifted as a figure clad in dark armor dashed forward, the text declaring, "Raven's Wing Beat," activating. The speed and precision of the movement were breathtaking, leaving a trail of blue energy in its wake. The lizard men were caught in the powerful wave, their ranks disrupted by the swift and relentless assault. The blue energy swirled around them, overwhelming their defenses and scattering them across the battlefield. A brilliant blue energy surged forward, slicing through the air with incredible speed. The lizard men, caught off guard, turned their heads in shock as the wave of power approached. One of the creatures, its eyes wide with surprise, was struck by the force, sending it reeling backward. The impact was swift and unrelenting. The creature's eye, filled with a mix of fear and defiance, glinted in the light as the energy continued its relentless assault. The blue wave crashed into the group, scattering them across the battlefield. The ground trembled under the force, leaving the lizard men struggling to regain their footing amidst the chaos. The blue energy surged forward, crashing into the lizard men with unrelenting force. The impact shattered the ground beneath them, sending debris flying in all directions. A powerful figure, cloaked in shadows, unleashed a devastating attack. The energy spiraled around, creating a vortex that drew everything into its center. One of the lizard men, caught in the whirlwind, struggled to maintain its balance. Its massive form was hurled backward, unable to withstand the overwhelming power. The force of the attack sent the creature tumbling through the air, its body twisting as it was flung across the battlefield. The ground quaked as it landed, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. A brilliant explosion of blue energy erupted, sending shockwaves through the air. The force of the blast scattered debris in all directions, creating a dazzling display of power. Amidst the chaos, a lizard man was hurled through the air, its body twisting as it collided with the ground. The impact was fierce, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Kim Hanul stood calmly amidst the aftermath, his expression unwavering. The forest around him bore the marks of the battle, trees swaying from the residual energy. He reflected on the ease of the encounter, acknowledging Gono's prowess in taking down an ogre single-handedly. Meanwhile, another lizard man unleashed a powerful attack, its arms sweeping through the air with a fiery red energy. The ground trembled under the force, marking the continuation of the fierce battle. Kim Hanul stood amidst the chaos, his eyes wide with surprise. "Question mark," he muttered, noticing a lizard man approaching with intent. "Is that lizard man coming for me?" He wondered, his mind racing. The massive creature loomed over him, its weapon raised high, ready to strike. The young man questioned his vulnerability. "Do I look like an easier target than Gono?" he mused, acknowledging the danger. "Well, I guess I do," he conceded, preparing himself for the confrontation. With determination, he activated a powerful skill, activating Lord's Afterimage. The system announced. The ability allowed him to harness the strength of the strongest monster from the previous wave, a crucial advantage in this dire moment. As the skill took effect, his fist ignited with fiery energy, delivering a devastating blow to the lizard man. The impact was fierce, sending the creature reeling. "If I didn't have this skill," he thought, realizing the narrow escape he had just achieved. Kim Hanul's fist surged forward, enveloped in a fiery aura, as he unleashed a powerful strike. The impact was immediate and explosive, sending shockwaves through the air. The ground beneath him cracked and shattered, debris flying in all directions. As the dust settled, the battlefield lay in ruins, marked by the fierce confrontation. Blood and debris scattered across the ground, a testament to the intensity of the clash. The system displayed the effects of Lord's Afterimage, highlighting the addition of Count Guler's formidable stats to his own. The boost in strength, agility, stamina, and spirit was significant, ensuring his continued advantage in the battle. Kim Hanul stood in the forest, adjusting his sleeve as a goblin approached him, chattering excitedly. The young man turned slightly, acknowledging the creature's presence. The goblin, Gono, grinned widely, its eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Gono, you're done too?" Kim Hanul asked, noting the goblin's bloodstained club. Gono proudly displayed his weapon, still dripping with the remnants of battle. His expression was one of triumph, clearly pleased with his accomplishments. Kim Hanul placed a hand on Gono's head, offering a hesitant compliment. Yeah, good job." He marveled at the goblin's efficiency, realizing Gono had taken out all those lizard men already. The system chimed in, indicating Gono's affinity had increased by +10. Meanwhile, a notification appeared, announcing the sale of 8 low-grade mana stones. Kim Hanul stood beside Gono, the goblin, as a notification appeared. His current gold was 370 G, and the sale of a mana stone containing a lizardman soul had granted him a premium gacha ticket. "Another gacha ticket?" he mused, considering the possibilities. "I'll give it a spin once the mission's over," he decided, planning his next move. The goblin chattered excitedly, drawing his attention. "Karuk! Karuk!" it exclaimed, tugging at his sleeve. A reminder flashed, indicating 7 minutes until the goblin slave returned to the Lord's castle. "Right, there's a time limit," he acknowledged, realizing the urgency. The young man crossed his arms, contemplating the situation. "It'd be bad if he leaves now. Is there any way around this?" he pondered, searching for a solution. The forest around him was bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun, adding to the tension. Gono continued to chirp, "Kiruk, Kiruk," with a mischievous grin. "What do you mean?" Kim Hanul wondered, as a new option appeared. He could pay gold to extend Gono's summon time, costing 5 gold per 10 minutes. This revelation offered a potential way to keep the goblin by his side longer. Kim Hanul sighed, realizing the cost of keeping Gono around. "Seriously? This costs money too?" he muttered, resigned to the situation. I'll pay for the overtime. No choice," he decided, patting the goblin's head as it chirped happily. "Kiruk, Kiruk." The young man stood in the forest, the warm glow of the setting sun casting long shadows. He looked down at the goblin, who seemed content with the arrangement. Suddenly, a rustling sound caught his attention. He murmured, turning to face the source of the noise. Gono, standing beside him, also looked in the direction of the disturbance. Emerging from the underbrush, a swarm of small, round creatures appeared, their pink forms bouncing across the ground. "Pig mallets?" Kim Hanul exclaimed, bewildered by the unexpected sight. The creatures surrounded them, their numbers growing rapidly. What the?" he stammered, as the forest filled with the sound of their approach. Kim Hanul stood amidst the forest, his eyes wide with surprise. Where did all these pig mallets come from? He wondered aloud, the creatures surrounding him in a growing mass. The goblin beside him, Gono, let out a thoughtful hum, its eyes narrowing as if contemplating a plan. Suddenly, Gono began to chirp loudly, "Kiruk, Kiruk." The young man watched in amazement as the goblin seemed to communicate with the pig mallets. "Gono, you can communicate with them?" he exclaimed, a mix of relief and curiosity in his voice. The goblin continued its animated gestures, its voice rising in urgency. Kim Hanul looked on, hopeful that Gono's efforts would lead to a solution. The pig mallets gathered in a lively group, their pink forms bouncing with excitement. Their cheerful oinks filled the air, creating a symphony of sound amidst the golden flowers surrounding them. Kim Hanul stood amidst the chaos, bewildered by the sudden change in the creature's behavior. What's gotten into them?" he exclaimed, trying to make sense of the situation. The goblin, Gono, stood nearby, seemingly unfazed by the commotion. "What did you say to make them act like this?" the young man demanded, his voice a mix of confusion and curiosity. The pig mallets continued to follow closely, their small feet pattering on the ground as they surrounded him. Their presence was both endearing and perplexing, leaving him with little choice but to accept their company. "Well," he sighed, glancing at the goblin beside him, "I guess we've got no choice but to stick together for now." With a resigned determination, he added, "All right, let's finish scouting the area." The forest stretched out before them, the setting sun casting a warm glow over the scene as they moved forward, accompanied by their unexpected companions. Kim Hanul stood amidst the aftermath of a fierce battle, the ground littered with fallen foes. He turned to the goblin beside him, a hint of admiration in his voice. "Good job, Gono," he said, acknowledging the creature's efforts. The goblin responded with a cheerful kiruk, as they both faced the portal ahead. As they approached the swirling gateway, a sudden notification appeared before them. Kim Hanul muttered, puzzled by the message. It read that the Lord's castle had run out of funds to purchase mana stones, halting their ability to collect more from hunting. Another alert followed, detailing the unit limits for the Lord's castle. The message specified that the limits for lizardman warriors, crossbowmen, and spearmen had been reached, preventing further expansion of their forces. Reflecting on the situation, Kim Hanul pondered the unexpected turn of events. "I never thought the Lord's castle would actually run out of gold," he mused, a thoughtful expression on his face. He realized there was also a restriction on the number of identical monsters he could command, adding another layer of complexity to their predicament. The display showed a full complement of lizardmen, 10 out of 10, standing in formation. Observing the situation, Kim Hanul realized there was no point in hunting any more lizardmen. He thought to himself, whatever, the mission was to save the pig mallets anyway. As he surveyed the area, the young man noted, "So far, I've saved about 60 of them." The remaining pig mallets numbered 70, a testament to his efforts. Under the starry sky, he reflected on the outcome, noting, which means the Bulgul Guild only managed to save 10. With a sigh, he continued to ponder the night's events. Kim Hanul gazed into the distance, a curious expression on his face as he pondered the situation. He murmured, sensing something amiss. Suddenly, the pig mallets erupted into a frenzy, their cries of "Kiruk" echoing through the forest. The ground trembled beneath their tiny feet as they surged forward, leaving the young man momentarily stunned. Wait, where are you guys going?" he called out, his voice tinged with urgency. The goblin beside him, Gono, looked equally perplexed, its eyes wide with confusion. Together, they sprinted after the retreating creatures, determined not to lose sight of them. The path ahead was illuminated by the moonlight, guiding their way as they raced through the night. Kim Hanul sprinted through the forest, the moonlight casting shadows on the path as he followed the pigmallets. "Question mark," he exclaimed, bewildered by their sudden rush. As they finally came to a halt, he bent over, catching his breath. The goblin beside him mirrored his exhaustion. "They finally stopped," he noted, glancing around. "Where are we?" Before them lay a shimmering expanse, the center of a lake revealed under the starlit sky. The sight was mesmerizing, drawing their attention. "The center of the lake?" he thought, astonished by the unexpected destination. As he surveyed the area, he realized everyone else is here too. Relief washed over him as he spotted familiar figures. "Phew, they startled me when they started sprinting like maniacs," he admitted, observing the group gathered by the water's edge. "Wait, does that mean?" Kim Hanul's eyes widened in realization. "The pigmallets led us all here?" he thought, his mind racing with the implications of their unexpected guidance. The night sky shimmered as the slaughterers ceased their relentless pursuit of the pigmallets. A sense of calm descended as the moonlight bathed the forest in a serene glow. The scene transformed into a breathtaking spectacle, with a radiant light illuminating the area. The ethereal glow revealed a majestic tree at the center, its branches reaching towards the heavens. The remaining pigmallets, numbering 70, gathered around the lake, their presence a testament to the night's events. The air was filled with a sense of wonder and relief as the group took in the mesmerizing sight. "Congratulations, you protected the pigmallets from the Slayer. Mission complete. Hidden objective met. Over 70 pigmallets survived." Kim Hanul sighed in relief, glancing at the gathered creatures. "It's finally over," he muttered, feeling the weight of the night lift. "Damn dungeon, just let me out already. Stop wasting my time with messages," he grumbled, eager to leave. Suddenly, a brilliant cascade of water erupted from the lake, the majestic tree at its center glowing with ethereal light. The spectacle was breathtaking, as if the very essence of the forest was celebrating their success. Cho Kwang-soo and another figure stood in awe, their expressions a mix of shock and confusion. "F***CK. What the hell?" the bald man exclaimed, eyes wide. Below, Kim Hanul's gaze was steady, his focus unwavering. "The trial of meditation begins now." A system window declares, "The trial of meditation begins now," setting a solemn and intense tone. Suddenly, a massive surge of water erupts upward with tremendous force, spiraling and twisting as it ascends, droplets scattering in every direction. 5 figures stand at the base, their silhouettes dwarfed by the towering torrent. The water crashes down violently, sending a powerful wave outward. The group is caught in the onslaught, their bodies thrown back as they struggle against the overwhelming force. Shouts of pain and surprise fill the air as the torrent continues its relentless assault. Amidst the chaos, the protagonist stands firm, gripping the arm of a woman with long brown hair and golden eyes, shielding her from the crashing water. The bald man and others are battered by the waves, their expressions strained as they fight to maintain their footing against the swirling, crashing water that dominates the scene. The protagonist's eyes widened in alarm as a powerful water attack surged toward him. He raised his arm instinctively to shield himself, but panic flashed across his face as he realized, "I can't dodge this." His gaze sharpened, focusing on the incoming threat with desperate urgency. Suddenly, a dazzling golden light enveloped him, and a swarm of small, glowing pig-like creatures appeared, surrounding him protectively. His expression shifted to one of stunned disbelief as he gasped, What?" The creatures glowed with a radiant energy, their determined faces showing they were ready to defend. The golden light intensified, forming a shimmering barrier around the group. The protagonist and the goblin beside him stood firm within the protective shield, their eyes wide with surprise. "The pigmallets," he thought, recognizing the creature's identity. The barrier pulsed with power, holding back the crashing waves and swirling water. As the water attack slammed against the radiant shield, the young man looked around in awe, questioning, "Are they protecting us?" The goblin beside him nodded quietly, and the golden glow continued to hold strong, a testament to the unexpected defense granted by the pigmallets. A blue screen flashes with the message. The pigmallets saved from the slaughterer express their gratitude. Below, a cluster of small, glowing pig-like creatures wriggle happily, their faces bright with joy as one lets out a cheerful KW sound. Another blue screen appears, declaring, "Now, they will protect you." The scene shifts to the protagonist standing firmly with the goblin beside him, both facing the glowing swarm of pigmallets that form a radiant, honeycomb-patterned shield around them. The golden barrier pulses with energy, a powerful defense against the raging water assault. The intensity of the moment escalates as the protective shield shines brilliantly, casting light across the dark surroundings. A timer appears on a blue screen, counting down from 10.00, accompanied by the words, "Endure the trial for 10 minutes with the souls you have gathered." The young man stands resolute, his back to the viewer, ready to face the challenge ahead. The scene darkens, focusing on the protagonist's face illuminated by faint light. A bead of sweat trickles down his cheek as he admits with a wry smile that I didn't see this coming. His eyes narrow thoughtfully, and he murmurs, "Don't tell me those pig mallets." The glowing orbs of light float around him, hinting at the unexpected aid he has received. The protagonist's face is illuminated by the golden glow of the protective barrier, his expression serious and contemplative as he watches the small pig-like creatures forming a radiant shield. A thought crosses his mind. Actually have this kind of power. The glowing pig mallets stand ready, their determined faces shining with energy, reinforcing the strength of the barrier around him. His gaze sharpens as he reflects on the reason behind his actions. The swirling water and golden light blending in the background. There was a reason I had to save them, he admits quietly, the words underscored by the powerful energy surrounding him. The text, "Gather and Heart," the trial of the gathered heart, appears, emphasizing the significance of the trial he faces. Sweat beads on his temple as he contemplates the trial's true purpose, his eyes narrowing with resolve. I wondered what this trial was about, but the pig mallets I saved are the ones protecting me now. He realizes, the golden shield pulsing with life around him. The water continues to crash, but the barrier holds firm, a testament to the bond between him and the creatures. The scene widens to show the youth standing alongside the goblin, both encased in the glowing shield, while the bald man struggles against the water's force nearby. The young man questions, "So the more I save, the safer I am. Wait, then, what about the others?" His expression is tense, the trial's challenge becoming clearer as the water surges and the protective light flickers, hinting at the trials yet to come. The protagonist's eyes widened in shock as a powerful surge of water crashed against the glowing honeycomb barrier. Nearby, the bald man struggled to maintain his footing, bracing himself against the relentless force. The sound of the water's impact echoed loudly, punctuated by a sharp exclamation of surprise. His mind raced with doubt and concern, questioning if the bald man, Zhou Guangsu, had only managed to save a single soul. The small, glowing pig-like creature zipped through the air, its determined face barely holding on amidst the chaos. Despite the precarious situation, the youth's thoughts lingered on the fragile state of their defense. A digital timer displayed 9.19, counting down the remaining time of the trial. The young man's expression hardened with resolve as he wondered if the protective souls could endure until the end. Doubts gnawed at him. Would they survive the rest of the trial, or would the barrier falter before time ran out? His gaze shifted to the others encased within the radiant shield, realizing it wasn't just Zhou Guangsu who was struggling. Several other hunters stood side by side, their faces tense as they fought to hold the barrier against the surging water. The golden light flickered but remained steadfast, a symbol of their shared fate and collective will to survive the trial together. The golden honeycomb shield shimmers as a surge of water crashes against it, the small pig-like creatures bracing themselves against the relentless force. The protagonist's thoughts race. If saving the pig mallets is the key like he had suspected, then the situation is dire. His face is tense and drenched with sweat, the glowing barrier reflecting in his determined blue eyes. He realizes with growing dread that everyone except himself is in deep trouble. The weight of responsibility presses down on him as he resolves, "I have to find a way." His gaze sharpens, focusing intently as he questions, "But how?" Suddenly, a spark of surprise flickers in his eyes, breaking through the tension. "Question mark," he murmurs, sensing something unexpected. A bright blue screen flashes before him, announcing, "Hidden mission discovered." The message continues, revealing the secret objective. Suppress the source of the trial. It instructs him to find and defeat the monster that is the source of the trial of meditation, promising that the trial will end immediately upon its defeat. The swirling water and digital text blend, signaling a new path forward in the midst of the chaos. The protagonist recalls the information he received from the Lord's castle, the words echoing in his mind. The info from the Lord's castle said. A digital message materializes before him, revealing, "A hidden mission exists within the lake. Find the mission and claim your reward." His thoughts confirm the revelation. Right, it said there was a hidden mission in the lake. He reflects on his exhaustive search, frustration evident as he admits, "I searched every inch of the field and found nothing. It was here all along." The scene widens to show him walking through a dark, eerie forest accompanied by a small figure wielding a large weapon, while glowing pig-like creatures follow closely behind. Determined, he adjusts his glasses with a steady hand, the golden honeycomb shield glowing faintly behind him. "All right then," he mutters, activating a skill. A blue holographic interface appears, displaying the skill description. Allows you to view the target stats and skills. Sage's Eye can be used twice a day. Current uses remaining, 1/2. Surrounded by a swirl of blue energy and digital symbols, he focuses intently, declaring, "Let's see what kind of bastard I need to kill." The scene pulses with power as he prepares to uncover the true nature of the hidden mission's source. A sharp alert flashes across a digital interface, announcing, "A monster applicable to the count has been detected." The screen pulses with blue light, highlighting a blurred silhouette of a figure wielding a staff. Below, a prompt asks, "Activate Sage's Eye?" The tension rises as the decision hangs in the air. With a confident smirk, the black-haired young man adjusts his glowing glasses, declaring, "Okay, found you." Golden sparkles swirl around him as the activation completes, the word, "activated," appearing boldly on the screen. His posture is steady, ready to face whatever lies ahead. The interface reveals the monster's identity. Zen Karuk, a named monster. Detailed stats flash on the screen: Strength 25, Agility 35, Constitution 30, Intelligence 90, along with a list of powerful skills. Cataclysmic Wave LV.1, Cataclysmic Storm LV.1, and Tears of the Ancient God LV.5. The digital display crackles with energy, emphasizing the formidable nature of this foe. The young man's expression shifts to one of shock and realization, sweat beading on his temple as he thinks, "Wait, this guy is a named monster?" The golden honeycomb shield glows faintly behind him, underscoring the gravity of the challenge now fully revealed. The protagonist's expression hardens as he processes the information before him. He's got the skills of an A rank minimum. A voice in his mind confirms, while a young woman with long brown hair and golden eyes watches him with a small sweat drop on her cheek, acknowledging, "Yeah, for now." The tension in the air thickens as the gravity of the situation sinks in. A radiant blue light envelopes a towering figure clad in robes, holding a staff topped with a glowing skull. The narration explains, named monsters are special entities. They use unique skills other monsters don't have. The figure's presence is imposing, and the text continues, with those unique items, he's on a completely different level of power. The scene emphasizes the overwhelming strength of this foe, setting the stage for the challenge ahead. Standing resolute, the young man clenches his fists, determination shining in his eyes as he admits, "I guess I shouldn't expect a hidden mission to be easy." Beside him, a small goblin-like creature named Kiruk looks up, ready for action. The young man calls out, "Kiruk," signaling the start of their plan. Surrounded by a shimmering golden honeycomb barrier, he commands firmly, "Hold on, Gono. Sit this one out." The goblin, surprised, repeats, "Kiruk." The young man explains, "You don't have water resistance, so fighting in the lake is too risky for you." His gaze sharpens as he declares with confidence, "Now is the time. The moment to confront the named monster has arrived," and the air crackles with anticipation. The protagonist stands before a glowing blue interface listing monsters available for trade with the Lord. His hand presses against the screen as the list scrolls, showing various goblins, giants, lizards, and ogres with their respective gold prices. The text bursts out in a jagged speech bubble, "It's time to hire a new monster," as the system activates the Lord's list trade. The list continues to scroll rapidly, shimmering with digital energy. The young man's coat flares behind him as he leans forward, eyes fixed on the options. The screen highlights the Ogre Berserker priced at 420 gold, catching his attention. A close-up of the interface reveals the ogre's icon and price. The young man's internal monologue states, "I'll take the one with water resistance, the Ogre Berserker." However, he quickly adds, "But unlike Gono, the ogre doesn't have any items yet." The digital display emphasizes that the ogre's base stats alone aren't sufficient to defeat a named monster. The scene shifts to a close-up of a bald man with sharp eyebrows and intense eyes, Cho Kwang-soo, who appears resolute. The narration continues the young man's thoughts, acknowledging the ogre's limitations but implying the decision is made. The tension builds as the plan to hire this new monster unfolds, preparing for the looming battle ahead. The young man's eyes gleamed with determination as he faced the glowing interface before him. "I need an item to boost stats right now," he muttered, clenching his fist. A radiant blue light surrounded him, illuminating the room as he prepared to activate something crucial. "Time to use it," he declared, ready to change the tide of the battle. The screen displayed a shimmering icon of a chest labeled Premium Gacha Ticket, described as a special ticket used to obtain rare items. His thoughts raced. If I can just get a good item here, the ogre can take on Zen Karuk. The stakes were high, and the pressure mounted as he hoped for a powerful boost. Electricity crackled around him, his expression fierce and resolute. "I've got to bet everything on this ticket," he said, gripping the glowing chest tightly. The energy surged, illuminating his determined face as he prepared to unleash the ticket's power. A burst of golden light exploded from the chest, accompanied by the message, "Consuming one premium draw ticket." The young man stood firm amidst the dazzling display, his coat billowing as the energy enveloped him, signaling the start of a pivotal moment in the fight ahead. A sudden burst of golden light floods the scene, illuminating the protagonist's face as his eyes widen in shock. "Gee, golden light," he stammers, sweat beading on his forehead. His voice trembles as realization dawns. "Take that means." The radiant glow intensifies, swirling around him in a dazzling display of power. A triumphant smile breaks across his face as he declares, "It's S rank." The golden energy crackles and pulses, signaling a dramatic surge in strength. His expression shifts abruptly to confusion and alarm, eyes darting as he utters, "H? What the?" The unexpected change unsettles him, casting doubt over the sudden power-up. The scene shifts to the shimmering golden honeycomb barrier surrounded by rushing water. The young man watches intently as the water's current grows fiercer, crashing against the barrier with increasing force. He exclaims silently, his gaze sharp and alert. The narration confirms his concern. The current's getting stronger? The tension escalates as the environment itself seems to respond to the unfolding battle. The protagonist clenches his fist, frustration evident as he shouts, "Arg! Whatever! No time to overthink this!" His determination pushes him forward despite the pressure. A bright blue message flashes before him, confirming, "You have successfully paid 420G. Hiring successful." Immediately after, another message declares, "Summoning Ogre Berserker." The water and energy swirl violently around the glowing honeycomb barrier as the summoning takes place. A deafening roar erupts as the massive ogre bursts forth, wielding a huge wooden club. His muscular frame and fierce expression radiate raw power, ready to fight. The golden honeycomb barrier glows intensely behind him, emphasizing the momentous arrival. The young man commands with urgency, "It's an S-rank item, so it's gotta be good. Just put it on, ogre." He thrusts a glowing blue item toward the summoned beast, hoping to boost its strength immediately for the battle ahead. A bright blue message flashes across the screen, declaring, "Ogre Berserker equips the item." The massive ogre, muscles rippling and wielding a huge wooden club, is bathed in a golden light as the item takes effect. The energy swirls violently around him, shards of light scattering as the power surges through his body. Suddenly, the ogre collapses to the ground with a heavy thud, dust rising from the impact. The protagonist and the dark-armored figure beside him exchange surprised glances. "Kiruk?" the young man calls out, stepping forward cautiously. The ogre lies motionless, his powerful frame sprawled across the floor. The young man's expression shifts to concern, sweat beading on his forehead as he questions aloud, "Wait, why'd he collapse? Did something go wrong?" The golden honeycomb barrier glows softly behind him, the tension thick in the air. A sudden, agonized roar pierces the silence, the ogre's voice filled with pain and frustration. The young man's eyes widen, a mix of shock and determination crossing his face as he watches the ogre struggle to rise. A glowing blue skill description appears, titled Comma, explaining that it adds the stats of the strongest monster from the previous wave to the user's own, with a time limit of 12 minutes remaining. The warning notes that once the 30-minute limit is reached, the skill cannot be used again until the next day. Below the text, the protagonist is seen charging forward with fierce determination, energy crackling around him as he prepares to take action. Suddenly, the young man grimaces in pain, shouting as he is caught in a powerful surge of water and energy. Behind him, a figure is seen struggling in the turbulent currents, desperately calling out, "H, help me!" The rushing water and golden light swirl violently, threatening to overwhelm them both. Clenching his teeth, the youth resolves, "Damn it! I have no choice." His expression hardens as he declares, "I'll have to handle this myself." With explosive force, he launches himself forward, breaking through debris and energy with a powerful leap, his coat billowing behind him as he charges into the fray. The scene intensifies as he plunges into the chaotic waters, surrounded by crackling blue and red energy. The rushing currents and shards of light emphasize the urgency and danger of the moment, signaling that the battle is far from over and that he is fully committed to overcoming the challenge ahead. A fierce clash erupts as a hand grabs another's wrist with a sharp impact, energy crackling wildly around them. The protagonist screams in pain and exertion, his body surrounded by red, fiery lightning as he struggles against the overwhelming force. His hand slams against a rough surface, sending shards of debris flying, the intensity of the moment palpable. The struggle continues as the two figures are thrown backward through the air, the protagonist trailing red energy as he is flung away, while a bald man with sharp eyebrows follows closely behind, his expression focused and determined. The chaotic scene is filled with flying debris and swirling energy, emphasizing the violent momentum of the battle. The young man's eyes blaze with fierce determination, glowing orange as he grits his teeth, sweat dripping down his face. He thinks to himself, "I even used Lord's afterimage." But his resolve is clear, yet the strain is evident as he fights against the overwhelming power. His hand clenches tightly onto a surface, veins bulging as he struggles to maintain his grip. The internal monologue reveals his desperation. "The current's too strong. It's more than I can handle. I can't hold on anymore. No, my grip's failing. Is this the end?" The tension mounts as the possibility of defeat looms, the young man battling against forces that threaten to overwhelm him completely. The protagonist's eyes widen in shock as he suddenly senses a change in the overwhelming force around him. "Question mark," he mutters, his gaze sharp and alert despite the sweat dripping down his face. His mind races as he questions the unexpected shift. "Wait, does it feel like the current is weakening?" The tension in his expression deepens, a flicker of hope sparking amid the chaos. Suddenly, the massive ogre bursts through the turbulent waters with a powerful splash, his muscular form cutting through the currents as he rises. The young man stares in disbelief, exclaiming, "The ogre?" Behind him, a bald man with sharp eyebrows is also caught in the upheaval, thrown backward by the force of the water. The ogre, now fully emerged and looking strong despite the earlier collapse, turns his head slightly and calls out with a deep, commanding voice, "My lord, are you unharmed?" The scene is charged with renewed energy as the ogre's presence signals a turning point in the battle. A pair of hands cup water gently, accompanied by a calm voice apologizing, "Forgive my late greeting." The scene expands to reveal a towering, muscular figure wearing a large wizard's hat, surrounded by a swirling torrent of water. He declares with reverence, "Your humble servant stands before the King of Kings," as the water crashes dramatically around him, dwarfing the protagonist standing before the giant. The young man's face is drenched and filled with shock, his wide blue eyes reflecting the cascading water as he utters in disbelief, "What in the world?" Suddenly, a glowing interface appears, displaying the details of an item. Archmage Gandorf's hat, an S-rank relic worn on the head. The description reads, "The relic of a great mage who saved a world from ruin." The moment this hat is worn, even a fool becomes a genius, granting an intelligence boost of +30. The youth's stunned internal voice questions, "Did I just create